Hare Krishna, we are live.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. A very, very happy Krishna conscious New Year to you all, to all of you. Now that the year is new, let's seek to be new and renew our very existence so that we can attain the love of Godhead. So आज आप सबका अभिनंदन है, आप सबका स्वागत है। आज हम लोग चैप्टर 17 भगवद गीता से पढ़ेंगे how we can renew our life, and the acronym is new. So again, we have to look at it from a new perspective, as Lord Krishna is revealing to all of us through Arjun when he is giving this instructions to Bhagwan, उपदेश दे रहे हैं अर्जुन को. So he's actually हमारे लिए भी हैं. These instructions apply to our life also. Hare Krishna. So please renew our life. Please join us today for Jai Radha Madhav prayers. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा। सभी फ्रेंड्स को नववर्ष की बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। पूजा शर्मा, कविता कश्यप, सहदेव बाबू, प्रमोद कुमार पांडे, सोनाली, सुष्मिता, थिलय, हरे कृष्णा। हरे कृष्णा फ्रेंड्स, आप सभी का अभिनंदन है। संतोष कनई, गोवर्धन कौशिक, बाल कृष्णा, विजय राज, अंजलि गुप्ता, चिता रंजन, पूरण, चांद ठाकुर, आरती ओशीन। हरे कृष्णा फ्रेंड्स। गौर किशोर कृपादास, पूजा अग्रवाल, अनु महाजन, चंद्रशेखर चौधरी, देवी करणी, राजू कर्माकर, पुनीत चौधरी। हरि बोल। आज प्रभु जी न्यू ईयर पर द अल्टीमेट गोल के बारे में हमसे भगवान की टीचिंग शेयर करेंगे, जो कि है चैप्टर 17। और चैप्टर 17 से पहले जो हमने सारे चैप्टर्स कवर किए हैं, उन सब का एसेंस। हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to all of you. A very, very happy Krishna consciousness New Year to all of you. And let's get started, starting with Guru Pranati. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshitarine Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yad Kripa Tadaham Vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So chapter 17, the divisions of faith. So there were many interesting questions being raised yesterday, and all the time we hear questions related to this, where Lord Krishna has answered. भगवान ने ऐसे बहुत सारे प्रश्न जो हमारे मन में उठते हैं, उनके उत्तर दिए हैं, इसमें आंसर किए हैं उनको, so that we can understand things as they are, right? Krishna Surya Sama Maya He Andhakara. Jahan Krishna taha nahi Maya Radhikara. Bhagwan Krishna, he's like sun. And in sun, when the sun is out, in the sky, it has arisen, at that time, kya hota hai? We can see things, right? Because at night time it's all dark, then we cannot see things. So we can see things as they are. Yes, we have our perception, so we can look at it from our perspective. But when Lord Krishna, he reveals, then there is no doubt, Srila Prabhupada says. So let's get started with the first verse, recitation of the first verse, and then we'll cover the lesson and acronym for today's, for this chapter 17, so that we can remember the different sections and to be able to remember the important lessons, the 3 important lessons that we get, and 9 important characteristics that we should focus on, consciously, acting in the rightful manner. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17, the divisions of faith, verse 1. Arjuna uvacha ye shastra vidhim utsrajya yajante shraddhayanvitaha tesham nishtha tu ka Kṛṣṇa sattvam ahorajastamaha. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Arjuna inquired, O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principles of scripture but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance? Hare Krishna. So my dear friends, आज का जो acronym है to remember this chapter is new. So we are all in a new year. So we should be renewing our consciousness constantly. Satatam kirti yanto mam yatantascha dhrunvata. Lord Krishna says that my devotees, they are constantly engaged in serving me, and they are endeavoring right? Mat chitta madgat prana bodhayanta parasparam. So we are constantly, the devotees are constantly meditating, mat chitta, constantly thinking of him, constantly remembering him. भगवान का स्मरण करते रहते हैं devotees. और devotees constantly भगवान को just remember ही नहीं करते हैं, भगवान के लिए work करते रहते हैं. लेकिन अर्जुन का question बहुत appropriate है. अर्जुन ने पूछा कि my dear Lord, भगवान कृष्ण, जो लोग, the people who do not follow the scriptures, who do not know the scriptures, they don't believe in scriptures. बहुत सारे लोग हम लोग को मिलते हैं ऐसे, that they are not following the scriptures. But then in the principles, they have kept the principle that be good, right? Or be loving, or be compassionate. So they have these qualities because these qualities are coming from Lord Shri Krishna, Parusham Rishu. All ability in men come from Lord Shri Krishna. Yet at the same time, ऐसे लोगों का destination क्या होता है? And this chapter, actually Srila Prabhupada says, is teaching us how to attain love of God, right? The goal of our life. We all want to be perfect. We all want to go back home. We all want to enjoy, right? We all want happiness. Now, interestingly, people sometimes when they go for enjoyment, right? So they जैसे बहुत enjoy करना चाहते हैं, तो न्यू ईयर ईव जो कि कल मनाई गई थी, तो उसमें बाहर जाते हैं, बहुत ही त्रस्त हो जाते हैं, जैसे पूरा साल भर बोलते हैं कि हमने बहुत सह लिया, इस बार हमको एंजॉय करना है, और वो एक रात में सारे अपने रेजोल्यूशन तोड़ देते हैं, राइट? एंड then they need new resolutions. While devotees, we have one focus, right? We want to go back home, back to Godhead. And we know the formulas which are misrepresented in this material world. So what are the formulas? If you want to be happy, what you have to do? You have to please Lord Shri Krishna. We have to engage in devotional service. जब हम devotional service करते हैं, तो हम अपने आप happy हो जाते हैं. क्यों खुश हो जाते हैं? क्यों enjoy करते हैं? Because all our senses are fully satisfied, right? And how are they fully satisfied? Because हम लोग, we are trying to please Krishna. We are trying to please Lord Hrishikesha. We are trying to please Lord Madan Mohan, right? So Hrishikesha, Lord Hrishikesha means master of the senses. So when we please the master of the senses, our senses are satisfied. And when we continue to please Lord Madan Mohan, so Madan Mohan means one who can enchant the Cupid. We are all enchanted by Cupid, but he can enchant the Cupid. So there is hope. So if we serve Lord Shri Krishna, who can enchant the Cupid, then Cupid can forget about us and run after some others. And we can be attracted, because even Cupid is attracted by Lord Shri Krishna. So we become attracted by Lord Shri Krishna. And Krishna means all attractive. So here, Srila Prabhupada in many of his lectures on this particular chapter, he reveals that when Krishna says something, then there is no doubt, right? Because Krishna also said, for a doubting soul, there is no happiness or peace in this life or in next. So we should understand that, Vedas also come from Krishna, but people misuse Vedas to satisfy their senses. Sense enjoyment के लिए use करने लगते हैं Vedas की जो teachings है. And that is not the right use. Right? A knife is an instrument, is a sharp instrument. In the hand of a thug, it is dangerous. In the hand of a doctor, it is useful. But in the hand of a child, it is definitely dangerous, because a thug would hurt others, not hurt himself, but a child unknowingly can hurt himself. So Arjun's question is, Arjun पूछ रहे हैं कि my dear Lord Krishna, जो लोग scriptures को नहीं follow करते हैं, जो properly worship नहीं करते हैं, but rather they do this, worshipping based on their own imagination, right? Then what is their state? क्या वो सत्वगुण में है, mode of goodness? क्या वो रजोगुण में है, mode of passion? या वो तमोगुण में है, mode of ignorance, which is completely in darkness? So Lord Krishna, he is revealing. So first acronym in new, N stands for the 9 aspects Lord Krishna discusses in response. He is not just discussing worship, he is discussing faith in the 3 modes, which results in the worship, and then the food in the 3 modes. As how the people in 3 modes, they, take to this. And then he talks about the austerities of So I talked about like 9 aspects, right? So 9 aspects are related to the 3 austerities as well, which he covers, which is in the next section. But that is very important. When you engage with some faith in worshipping someone, and you offer them, what kind of gifts, and the food is the initial aspect. You want the food to be sanctified, so you offer them and you eat their remnants. So of course there are different austerities that are observed, and sometimes there is also confusion. People say austerity and penances. What is the difference between the two? Well, austerities we know is tapa, right? We can perform great meditation, so it's actually tapa. Yet at the same time, penance is prayashchitta, which is another form of tapa, but to eliminate the negative effect. So Srila Prabhupada uses austerity and penances interchangeably because sometimes people do not understand. And so to make it easy, he just said, austerity and penances, they are interchangeably being used, while it's understood that prayashchitta is to remove the reactions of previous sins, while austerity is to progress further on the positive path. And Lord Krishna reveals in the 18th chapter again, he says that these 3 aspects, sacrifice, austerity and charity, should never be given up. Okay? Yajna, dan, tapa, they purify even the pure souls. So they, hum logo ko constantly, and knowingly or unknowingly, we are constantly engaged in this, right? Sometimes people say, oh, see, I'm doing austerity, kitna austere hu, because every morning I wake up early, every day I go to work, I work there for 8-9 hours, right? That's austerity. And ये सब मैं क्यों कर रहा हूँ? Because मैं sacrifice कर रहा हूँ, right? For my family, for my nation, for my society, all different isms come into effect. जब whimsically लोग करते हैं तो they do not know what is the result. So Lord Krishna is revealing कि उनके results क्या होते हैं. और हर कोई charity कर रहा है, right? Some people unknowingly, they don't realize that they're giving charity to their family, they're giving in charity to all their belongings, and it is said that at the time of death everything is stolen away, right? So we should understand that we should not get attached to things around us. We should understand that they have been provided to us, but everything that is created is sure to be destroyed. So just like last year came and it's gone. Now there is a new year coming, but what is constantly renewing? Our consciousness. We should constantly continue to renew our consciousness. हमें अपनी धारणाएं, अपने विचार proper align करने चाहिए. So the first 10 verses Lord Krishna जो हैं उनको बता रहे हैं अर्जुन को. इसमें faith, worship and foods are in the 3 modes of material nature. When people hear the 3 modes of material nature, there is a common concept, right? We directly jump, oh yes, all the food that we eat is of good quality, and they are in the sattvic, the mode of goodness. Well, Lord Krishna says that even if it's a mode of goodness, it is still binding because it's a material mode. And Srila Prabhupada points this out. So how can we even make it better? So that has been identified. So Lord Krishna is starting. कि जो faith है, it can be of 3 types, right? Based on the 3 modes of material nature. So everyone who is in the material world is conditioned. So even Arjun, he was a Kshatriya. So Kshatriya are in the mode of passion. Name, fame and glories, they want to drive for that. Yet at the same time, he got mercy of Lord Shri Krishna, so he got the proper knowledge, proper understanding, proper mindset, so that he can apply the principles and values in various activities that he is carrying out, the practices in his daily life, so that he can purify his existence. So this is very important aspect. So it's all about your mindset. So, the whole yoga process, different yoga processes are there, but they are to control the mind so that we can align our mindset and set it in the direction of Lord Shri Krishna. So harmony is the true money, and that is what we should be establishing, harmony with the Supreme Lord, harmony with the Brahmanda, harmony with everything that's around us. So everything becomes aligned once we are in harmony with the Supreme Lord. So here, faith can be of 3 types, Lord Krishna says. Mode of goodness, Sattva Guna. Mode of passion, Rajoguna. Mode of ignorance, Tamoguna. And so according to that, one is influenced. Now we understand, Lord Krishna has already revealed earlier, Chaturvarna maya shishtam guna karma vipagasha. The 4 varnas are being established by me alone. The Brahmins are in the mode of goodness, Kshatriyas in the mode of passion, Vaishyas in the mixed mode of passion and ignorance, and Shudras in the mode of ignorance. Now Srila Prabhupada in the lecture says that, but Lord has, means again in the scriptures it has already been identified that in the Kali age, prayana alpayusha sabhya kalavasmin yuge, manda sumanda matyo manda bhagyo pradutta. So in this Kali age, right, prayana alpayu. Alpayu means people have short lives, right? They live to about 100 years. Now it's becoming more like 80 and 70s. Kalavasmin yuge, and they're quarrelsome by nature. Manda, they are lazy. Sumanda mateo, they're not very intelligent, they have poor fund of knowledge, right? Not very intelligent, not very sharp intelligence. Manda bhagya, and then they are unlucky by nature. Upraduta, and they are constantly disturbed, they are constantly in anxiety, right? The animal life is full of fear, constant fear. Human life is full of anxiety. And then when it's referred to demigod's life, it is full of misidentified, misdirected enjoyment, right? Because they can enjoy 1,000 times more and they get so many facilities to enjoy. But at the same time, if they seek sensual enjoyment, then it is misdirected. If they seek enjoyment of Lord Shri Krishna, then it is properly aligned in harmony with everything. And when we are in harmony with Lord Shri Krishna, that is like we are watering the plant. So every part of the plant, its branches, its twigs, its leaves, its flowers, its fruits, everything is going to be properly nourished. So when we are in harmony with Krishna, that doesn't mean that our relationship is only with Krishna. Everyone becomes friend to us because we understand that everyone is very dear to Lord Shri Krishna. So we become Pandita. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shunicha Vashopakecha Pandita Samadarshina. So a person, when properly endowed with knowledge, then he can see everything as it is, which means all living entities, in the heart of all living entities, he sees the super soul. Paramatma sabke hriday mein hai, Bhagwan sabke hriday mein hai. And everyone is very dear to Lord Shri Krishna. Lord Krishna हम सबको बहुत प्यार करते हैं, अत्यंत प्रिय हैं हमारे लिए भी और हम उनके भी अत्यंत प्रिय हैं. तो बस वही है. Everyone is a devotee. Some know it, some don't. Some are in forgetfulness, right? He says, Matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. From me comes smriti, remembrance, jnanam, knowledge, and apohanam, forgetfulness, right? So we get, some people forget about him because they want to forget about him. So Lord Krishna sanctions him in that desire. He is such a merciful father that if his son wants something bad, he says, okay, so be it. Yet at the same time, we should not be at that level because we have responsibility. Why do we have responsibility? To inquire about the purpose of life. Why am I here? Why are there miseries? Why is there anxiety? And now that there is New Year, what are my resolutions? Resolutions are successful when they are part of executions, right? When we are carrying them out. Then they will cause an amazing revolution in our life. तो हमारे लाइफ को संभालने के लिए, हमारे लाइफ को सक्सेसफुल करने के लिए, we have to take to some understandings, and that is the responsibility we have, because we are not animals. We have higher intelligence, and our intelligence must be used, otherwise we will fall down back in that lower modes. So he is saying that the mode of material nature, they determine किसी का faith कैसा है. So people, they have faith, and because of their faith they take to worshipping different kind of entities. So what are those entities are being described here. And similarly they have different kind of eating habits because of the influence of the modes of material nature. Now sometimes people say, now what can we do? We are in this particular mode. Okay, Kala Shudra Sambhava. Everyone is a Shudra in this Kali age. What can we do? Brahmana bharvite kon bhagyavana jiva Guru Krishna prasade paya bhakti lata bija. So there is a saying in the scriptures that wandering, the living entities wandering in this material world like a Ferris wheel, right? जैसे हवाई झूला होता है ना, उसमें कभी ऊपर जा रहे हैं heavenly planets में, कभी बीच में आ रहे हैं earthly planets में, कभी नीचे जा रहे हैं hellish planets में. and they are constantly in anxiety in reality, right? There is no happiness in this material world. There is constant misery. It doesn't matter. Even Indra is constant afraid. As soon as किसी ने 100 अश्वमेघ यज्ञ किए, मेरा गद्दी गया, right? मेरा कुसे गया. So he is always in a fear. But devotees of the Lord, they are not looking to be in this. So kaun bhagyavan jeva. So if someone is fortunate, Guru Kṛṣṇa Prasade Paya, by the mercy of Krishna, one gets to meet a bona fide spiritual master, right? It's not a business of cheater and being cheated, right? In Krishna consciousness, we seek the process of how to get out of this material world, and a guru is also called Acharya, one who shows by his example. And His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj says that somebody can preach without speaking a single word because of their behavior, right? By carrying it, the instructions out. So Acharya, he is not one who says that do as I say, not as I do. He says, do as I do and follow as I say, right? So he is telling us that we have to follow the instructions as they are following the instructions of their spiritual masters. So we accept a spiritual master with that mood, that this is for my benefit, please instruct me so I can be disciplined and I can progress further. But to be disciplined, sometimes people say, well, what can we do? We are in the mode of ignorance, or we are in the mode of passion. Well, Arjun was in a mode of passion, he attained perfection. Now says, okay, he was a Kshatriya, what about a Shudra stage? Wait a minute, Devashi Narada's story we heard, he was a son of a maidservant, a Shudra boy. And he attained perfection, he attained spiritual body. He actually, from the very material body, it started transforming into spiritual body. He started having spiritual memory. He says that to Vyasadeva, that my memory was spiritualized the moment I was engaged in devotion service, hearing the Vedantist who was staying at the Brahman school. And his intelligence became spiritual. And then at the end of his life, he got a spiritual body. He was completely spiritualized. So this is our opportunity to be new us, to be spiritual us. How can we become spiritual? Now sometimes people say, what about people who are malichas, who are chandals, who are even more fallen? Well, we have so many examples. Valmiki in his early part of the life, even though he was born as a Brahman boy, he was lost in the jungle, and he became, he was raised by a person who was further down. He was not even in the four Chaturvarna. So, Malicha and Shuddha, he was actually a shikari, a hunter in the forest, and he would not kill the birds and animals. He would let them, be half dead and half living. And when Devashi Narad saw, he was like, why don't you just kill them if you want to kill them? Because, this is very heinous act. And then he was saying, why are you doing this? He was saying, because I'm doing this for my family. So Devashi Narad said, so can you go and ask your family if they're going to share the sin that you get from killing all these animals? And when he went, he was surprised that his wife said, well, this is your duty. Children said, this is your duty. How you raise up, how you feed us, that is your responsibility. And we are not going to participate in the sin you incur in doing your duty. So he was completely shaken. So he came back to Devashi Narad. Even his parents, when he talked to them, they were like saying, that's our responsibility as a son to make sure that we are properly taken care of. And how you do that is your responsibility. We are not participant in your sins. So Bhasa Suna, he was completely shocked. And he went to Devashi Narad. And Devashi Narad said, what? Just chant the holy names. Just chant Ram. And he could not have to even pronounce Ram. So what did Devashi Narad do? Devashi Narad, he said, okay, can you chant Mara? He understood his state. So this is an expert spiritual master, right? Devashi Narad, he is saying, can you chant Mara? He said, yes, I can chant Mara. So he said, just chant Mara, 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 right? Which means dying, 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 dying. But then when it's spoken consistently, it becomes, if you remove the first Ma, it becomes Ram, 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 Ram. He was not chanting Ram, he was chanting Mara, but the effect was that of Ram, right? And so he became a great sage. So after a year, when Devashi Narad, he brought other sages with him, looking for his disciple, this hunter. He saw that he can't find him, and suddenly there was a ant hill where he was sitting. So he could hear somebody chanting Ram, 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 Ram. Basically, Mara, 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 Mara becomes Ram, Ram, Ram when you hear it. And then he realized that actually this until Valmiki, right? That's what, that's how sage Valmiki gets his name. And so when he woke up at that time, it's again, he came out of his meditation, seeing that Devashinara is there, and he was approaching Devashinara to pay obeisances. He was paying attention not to step on a single ant. And Devashinara was like so happy that he has given up his, his that sinful propensity. So it is not that we have to, it's always good to come step by step, but when we get the knowledge, then we can directly become pure. We can transcend the three modes of material nature when we are under the instructions of the spiritual master. Now, what kind of worship does happen in the three modes of material nature? This also helps us realize what kind of worship we engage in. So Lord Krishna is revealing in the 4th verse, Yajante satvika devan yaksha rakshasmi rajasaha pretan bhuta ganams chanye yajante tamasa janaha. So people who are in the mode of goodness, right? Men who are in the mode of goodness, they worship the demigods. And of the devas, achyuto yatha, right? Devanam achyuto yatha. So of all the demigods, the one who is in pure consciousness, pure goodness, they worship Lord Achyuta, Lord Krishna. But those who are in the worship of mode of passion, they worship the demons, right? Yaksha rakshamsi rajasaha. So they follow, they worship the demigods like Yakshas and others, Rakshasas and so forth. Rakshasa means those who, who are demoniac, they eat men. So cannibals. So even in the mode of passion, people may be worshipping such personalities. And in the mode of ignorance, people are worshipping pretas and bhutas and all those. So sometimes, people, they come to know in that day in the jungle on a specific tree a ghost lives. And so they go and they do puja to please that, preta and that ghost, so that, they can fulfill their desires. This is black magic is also another name for this kind of activities, this kind of rituals that people carry out. And we all know, Devan Deva Yajayanti, right? So those who worship the Devas, they go to the planet of the Devas. Those who worship the Pitras, they go to the planet of the Pitras. Those who worship the demons, they go to the planet of demons. And those who worship, the ghosts, goblins and so forth, so they go get those yonis. Next birth is like that. Hare Krishna. So that has been revealed. Now there is a question, are there demons? Well, we talked about it in chapter 16. 16th chapter mein kya padha? Ke divine and demonic natures. So how can, one have nature of divine, right? As well as, कैसे saintly nature हो सकता है लोगों का, और उसका opposite होता है demonic nature. And we talked about, the different qualities: pride, arrogance, harshness, untruthfulness, conceit. So those are various qualities of demonic nature. Yes, so they are demons. And we see those demons, we can observe them in this world. And who are these demons? Now, Lord Krishna reveals in the 5th and 6th verse that the demons, sometimes they undergo severe austerities. Sometimes people are very much, attracted by people who can perform great austerities and penances. They can endure great amount of pain. So, sometimes people, they follow such personalities, that these personalities are so austere, they can endure so much pain, they can endure so much, they can sacrifice so much, right? But they are doing it, which is not recommended in the scriptures. And they are just doing it out of pride. So again, and egoism. They are just doing it out of pride, because being influenced by the false ego. And see, in bhakti, we are trying to destroy false ego and establish in our ego. Aham Brahmasmi, I am. I am refers to our identity. So we can never lose our identity. but we understand that we are Brahman, we are spirit soul, we are not this body. And those who think that we are this body, they are in false ego, right? They are influenced by false ego. They are misidentifying with the body, right? Because living entity Atma does not mix with the body, it does not mix with the material world. Body is composed of 24 elements, of which the most prevalent and evident are the 5 knowledge acquiring senses and 5 working senses, and which are driven by mind. तो मन है, ज्ञानेंद्रियां हैं, कर्मेंद्रियां हैं, इनसे, और जो 5 वो हैं ग्रॉस एलिमेंट्स हैं, माइंड, इंटेलिजेंस, फॉल्स ईगो है, प्रधान है, and then the 5 sense objects, touch, smell, sight, sound and smell. So all these 24 elements, they constitute the body, but Atma is above them, soul is above them, we are above them. So these people who are performing these austerities and penances, not given in the Shastras, but just driven by their ego, just by the false ego, and being proud, showing that to people and trying to get their name, fame and glories because of their lust and attachment, right? This is what the driving force behind everything. And these people, they are foolish by nature, and they torture the material elements of the body, and they also torture the soul in the body, and they also torture the super soul in the body. These are known as demons. Now, can you think of some examples of such demons? Well, very simple example comes from Srimad Bhagavatam in many scriptures is of Hiranyakashipu. He was performing this austerity, this meditation, which was burning all the 3 worlds. So even the demigods were getting disturbed, and they went to Lord Brahma and they're saying, what is this demon doing? He's burning all that's why he was called demon, because he was carrying out all the activities which are suitable for a demon. So that's why. And another one we heard in the previous chapter was Rāma. Lust, anger and greed. These are the 3 gates to hell, right? And pride is what creates that. And pride comes because of lust and seeking name, fame and glories. So the very demonic things we covered in the previous chapter. Now, the worship we understand now. Faith we understand. What about food? What kind of food do people eat in the 3 modes of material nature? So Lord Krishna in the 8th verse, he reveals what kind of food they eat. Ayu sattva balarogya sukha priti vivardhana rasyaha snigdha sthira hridaya ahara satvikaha priyaha. So he's telling that the food in the mode of goodness, right? Aha satvikaha priya. Satvika priya. People in mode of goodness, they like what kind of food? They like food which is Ayu, which gives long life, right? Increase the duration of life. Sattva balarogya. And it also purifies one's existence and gives strength, bal, right? And arogya, removes diseases, right? And keeps us healthy. And then sukha, it gives us happiness. And so what is the characteristic of such food? That such food is juicy, it is fatty, it is wholesome and pleasing to the heart. So such is the food. So when we prepare nice prasadam, prepare nice bhoga actually, the offering to the Lordship, it is without meat, without fish, without eggs, onion, garlic. And why onion, garlic? Sometimes people, they cannot. And they say the devotees, they don't eat tea and coffee. Why? Why is that so? Because they are in the mode of ignorance. So all these food, actually meat, fish and eggs are even below mode of ignorance. They are like, completely abominable. That's why it is said that sometimes even Shudra Sambhava is a blessing to the humanity, because in the current age, there are people, Srila Prabhupada said that today's civilization is even below the 4 Varnas, right? Malechas and Chandals, that level. Because why that is so? Because they have opened so many slaughterhouses, meat markets, and they are slaughtering animals. Even Shudras in the Varnashram system would not eat that. So today men have even fallen below the level than what has been revealed. That, at least they were born under the mode of ignorance, but they have gone further down. So in the next life, it is very miserable state for them. And so because of the compassion towards humanity, Srila Prabhupada, he went out to the West. He tried twice in India actually before, but it was not successful. People would not listen. It is very difficult for someone who is sleeping to wake up and start saying things as they are. So, yet at the same time, Srila Prabhupada said that India, everyone is religious. That is a great quality. Even though his movement failed twice in India, he was conscious of this fact that everyone is very dharmic, religious. And so if given the proper direction, they need the proper, motivation. And sometimes people get motivated when they see someone else motivated. And India, he realized, that was following the Western culture. So he said, if the Western world becomes Krishna conscious, then India will automatically become Krishna conscious, because the follower will follow the master that they are following. So when he came to the West, on the instruction of his spiritual master, to preach, the knowledge, the transcendental knowledge, Gaurvani Prachayana, to spread the very sound of Lord Gauranga, the very saying and the preaching of Lord Gauranga to the Western world. Paschatya Desh Tarine. So again, Shunyavadi, Paschatya Desh. So the complete Western world, which was in Vaidism, completely lost, he spread the knowledge there. So when he brought the Westerners to India, his devotees, his disciples, Lord Krishna's devotees, his disciples, to India, he called them white elephants, because they would go out chanting the holy name, doing Sankirtan on the streets of India, Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta, Mayapur, Vrindavan. They were constantly chanting and seeing these white elephants, their followers, basically, because people were following, so much influenced by the Western world. Everybody started following them, and so we woke up, right? When we see that person who was even below sleep, he was in slumber, he could woke up and start chanting, calling out to the Lord's name, Hare Kṛṣna, Hare Kṛṣna, Kṛṣna Kṛṣna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So the whole of India woke up, and then we started chanting the holy name. Everybody got immersed in the chanting of the holy name, and everyone is rejuvenating since then. And every new year we get this new enthusiasm, new energy, new happiness, that yes, it's a new beginning. Yes, it is a very new beginning. Yet at the same time, we should also understand Satatam Kirtayantamam. Always chanting the holy name, always glorifying, will make us perfect. Now, so the food in Sattva Guna is purifying, it is very nourishing. What is the food in the mode of passion? Katvam lalvanatyushna tikshna ruksha vida hinaha ahara rajasasyeshta dukkha shokamaya pradaha. So the mode of passion, the food is either it is too bitter, too sour, it's salty, it's hot, pungent, dry and burning, right? That's the kind of food people in mode of passion, they eat. And what is the result of eating such food? Well, Sattva Guna, we saw all the great qualities. It is pleasing to the heart, it is increasing your life, it is arogya, means keeps you healthy, devoid of all diseases, and it is fatty and wholesome, so it actually gives you strength. But here the food causes distress, right? It causes misery and disease. Such is the food in the mode of passion. And what about, if that is the case, what about the darkness, in the mode of darkness? Tamoguna mein kya hai? So Lord Krishna reveals that also. Yatayamam gatarasam puti paryushitam chayat uchishtam api chamidyam bhojanam tamasa priyam. Bhojanam tamasa priyam. The food that is liked by the people who are in the mode of ignorance, mode of darkness, tamas, tamoguna mein. कैसा फूड खाते हैं? The food that was cooked 3 hours before, 3 घंटे पहले जिसको कुक किया जा चुका है, but it has been left out, and which is tasteless, doesn't have any taste. It is decomposing. It's and it's putrid. It's attracting bugs and all that. Such food which is consisted of remnants and untouchable things, right? We talked about meat is untouchable, and sometimes people say, what about प्याज लहसुन? में तो बड़ी medicinal qualities. Yes, राहु ने जब लिया था, जब देवता की तरफ बैठ गया था, तो उसने जब लिया था तो उसका face तो cover हो गया था, and then Lord, as Mohini was distributing to the demigods, not to the demons headed by Bali Maharaj. At that time when he was distributing the nectar, Amrit ka jab वो दे रहे थे देवताओं को, तो उनमें राहु जाके बैठ गया था वेश बदल के देवताओं के बीच में, और सूर्य चंद्रमा ने पता कर लिया ये राहु तो बता दिया, लेकिन उसने टेस्ट कर लिया, तो उसका हेड इज सेफ, but then as it was cut off, couple of drops fell right on the ground, and from that came onion and garlic. And so yes, they have some medicinal qualities, but at the same time, being touched by Rahu, they are in the mode of darkness, mode of ignorance, tamoguna. So this is, we don't want to be in those modes. We want to be wide awake, we want to be rejuvenating every moment, we want to be enjoying every moment. People, I don't understand, means kabhi kabhi achamba hota hai, we are surprised. People go out and they get intoxicated, so they cannot even experience the pleasure that is there, and then they spend the year detoxicating. And sometimes we find it even hilarious that there are many doctors, they are going through this cycle of intoxication, detoxification, intoxication, detoxification. And we're like, okay, Maya, Pratgyana, the intelligence is stolen away by material energy, they don't know what they are doing. They are actually just causing misery. And sometimes people say we drink when we are happy and we drink when we are sad. And those are the only state they think that they are in. So they are constantly what they are doing? Jahan cha wahan ra. They want an excuse to drink. So it's in grievous mode of ignorance. So this is something we want to avoid. Even tea and coffee, which causes intoxication, we want to avoid it, right? So we want to avoid such food which are in the lower modes. Srila Prabhupada says that's why when we offer to the Lordship, right, we make the best kind of food stuff and we prepare a feast and then we offer it to the Lordship. And then after offering to the Lordship, it becomes prasad, it becomes the remnants of His mercy. So prasad means mercy, and then we distribute it with the devotees and we eat together, relishing such fatty, wholesome, delicious prasadam, which gives us strength, which gives us rejuvenation, which gives us new energy. And Srila Prabhupada says it actually improves the memory, it creates those fine tissues in our brain so that we can be very intelligent and we can serve Lord with greater ability, right? And we can be constantly conscious, which is Kṛṣna conscious, always meditating on the Lord and calling out His name. Hare Kṛṣna, Kṛṣna Kṛṣna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now, E in new refers to elevating ourselves. And here, from 11 to 22, Lord Kṛṣna is talking about how to elevate ourselves, how to purify our very existence, how to renew ourselves. Yes, the year is new, so we should be renewed as well. We should be rejuvenated as well. We should be feeling that Lord's energy is flowing through us. He is providing us so many blessings. A new year is a blessing. Every moment is a blessing. And we should just be ready to receive that blessing. To receive that blessing, we have to make sure that we are in the right mood. So Lord Kṛṣna, He is revealing that, yajna, dana, tapa, sacrifice, austerity and charity should be performed even by the pure souls, because it purifies them, right? Even jo sages hote hain, wo bhi yajna, dana, tap karte hain, sacrifice, austerity and charity, because they get purified by doing this. So these things are also in the three modes of material nature. Now this is shocking, right? That Arjuna, that's why he was asking this question, that those who are in the three modes, what is their result? Now when we talk about three modes, Srila Prabhupada gave two beautiful examples. When the living entity, we are spiritual sparks. So if there is a great fire, which is Lord Shri Krishna, then we are the spiritual spark. And there is another example, analogy Srila Prabhupada gave us, that Lord Krishna is like the ocean and we are the drop of the ocean. Same in quality but different in quantity. We are minuscule, He is, huge, magnanimous. So हम सीमित हैं, वो असीमित हैं, भगवान जो हैं. He is unlimited and we are limited. So if there is a spark that falls, and the falling on in this material world is like, if we are in the mode of goodness, we fall on dry grass. So in dry grass there can be fire, right? So there is an easy way that it will show its characteristic, the spark, the fire, the characteristic, the energy, the potency it has. In the case of Rajoguna, It's like spark is falling on the ground. It stays there for a little while, but if nothing comes to help it, then it finally dies down. And in case of tamoguna, the spark falls on the water. So as soon as it touches the water, completely extinguished. That's another way. Now, sometimes there is another analogy Srila Prabhupada gives, so that we understand the three modes, how the effect is. We all know wood has the energy to burn, right, to create fire. It has it has been absorbing, the trees absorb the sunlight, and that's where that energy gets stored in the wood. So when the wood as it is, that is not manifested. But when we see smoke, right, when we start to burn the wood, the first comes out is smoke. So smoke is a sign that there is fire. So there is some symptom, abhas hai, there is some symbols, there is some signs that we are seeing that there can be fire. But fire, we know that it's useful, we can cook food, we can use it to spread light and so many other things. So that fire on its own, when the wood is burning, that's in sattva guna. Like we can use this fire. It is useful to perform various kind of activities to sustain ourselves as well as to progress further. जैसे भोजन बना सकते हैं, भगवान के लिए भोगा लगा सकते हैं, उसके लिए we need fire, right? So fire is useful. But smoke, not so useful, but it does give us an indication that there is fire. So when there is a forest fire, we look at the smoke and we know that there is, on this forest there is so much smoke, there is a forest fire. So that's Rajoguna. It is hidden, it has a stronger covering, but it is there is a possibility. But in Tamoguna, there is no possibility. Wood, on its own, we look at wood and we say, okay, now we have fire. That won't serve because it has to be lit, and so that the fire, that energy should get manifested. So those symptoms should be manifest. We cannot say, yes, Brahmasmi, and we should be sleeping. That's mode of ignorance in darkness. You cannot be sleeping because then you are completely covered. And because you are covered, you fall down to other yonis, right? Lower births, which are also covered, like that of animals, cats, dogs, and hogs. So those kind of body. And even in the mode of goodness, even if people become proud, but they are illuminated by knowledge, so they rise higher to the heavenly planets. We heard that. So now the sacrifice, charity and austerity, yajna, dana, tap, वो भी three modes में होते हैं. So what is the result? Bhagavan Kṛṣna from 11 to 22, he is describing this. So we have to elevate ourselves, right, to higher modes and higher modes. That's what is being revealed. So we should know where we are, so that we can actually come to the pure goodness, which is bhakti, by engaging in devotional service. And Srila Prabhupada reveals it again and again. One has to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, practice under the instruction of bona fide spiritual master, hear from a bona fide spiritual master. And Srila Prabhupada himself has given the transcendental purpose for this, and Lord Kṛṣna himself has given. So when Lord Kṛṣna speaks, there is no doubt, there is no argument. Because for a doubting mind, when absolute truth is speaking, there is no happiness in this world or next. तो चलिए पढ़ते हैं कि यज्ञ दान तप कैसे तीन मोड्स में होते हैं. अपलाकांक्षिभिर्यज्ञो विधिदिष्टो य इज्यते यष्टव्यमेति मनः समाधाय स सात्विकः. So when the sacrifices, they are performed as per the direction of scriptures. So the Arjuna's question was people who don't follow scripture. First, Lord Kṛṣna is saying those who follow scriptures, right? And it is not just being followed as scriptures, but done as a matter of duty, that we must do this. It is for our welfare, it is for our benefit, but without expecting a reward, without expecting fruitive results, without that attachment, right? Dayato Vishyan Pumsa Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangha Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodha Vijayate. Because when we are attached to the fruits of our labor, the fruitive attachment causes that lust to arise. And from lust, anger arises. Anger is a mode of ignorance. So we want to rise, we want to elevate, we don't want to degrade. So elevation के लिए हमें चाहिए कि जो हम यज्ञ करें तो उसमें जो sacrifice करें, we should do it as a matter of duty, without attachment to the result. And those who seek no reward, right, not even desiring the reward, they are in the mode of goodness. So that is the case. But the sacrifice, so in the next verse he is saying, perform for some material benefit, या फिर name, fame and glory, for the sake of pride, to show that you are such a wonderful person, you are performing so many sacrifices, that is in the mode of passion. So they may still follow the scriptures, they may still follow the direction, but they are doing it with a wrong motive. So just the mindset, right? Remember we talked about, it's all about mindset, controlling the mind, because mind can, is your best friend as well as your worst enemy, our worst enemy. So that has been. Now what is the mode of ignorance? He is saying, Vidihinam arashtanan mantrahinam adakshinam shraddhaviyahitam yagyam tamasam parichakshate. He is saying the sacrifice, when it is performed without the regard of the scriptures. So this is where, when we perform a sacrifice, we should pay attention to what is given in the scriptures. Without distribution of prasadam, right, spiritual food, without chanting of Vedic hymns, and without remuneration to the priests, and without faith, it's just doing it. It's in a mode of ignorance. Now, many of us, we have been, when we were not so much knowledgeable, we see that we were engaged in some of these activities. That's why it is very interesting that we should inquire from the priest that what is this sacrifice, who is the deity of this sacrifice, what is the purpose. It's very interesting, and sometimes it is shocking, not interesting, actually it becomes shocking. There was a priest, he was called to do the Shraddha ceremony, and this priest, it just so happened that on the boy's side who had asked the priest to come, his uncle was also a priest, but then the boy said, my dear uncle, let's just invite these priests, they are really nice priests from the temple. So the priest came and he was reciting the mantras for marriage ceremony. So at that time, his uncle said, why are you reciting this marriage ceremony? So the priest said, what can I do? I only know these shlokas. I do not know the shlokas for Shraddha. I always do marriage ceremony. Now when they called, I was the only one available. So it is very important, right? So now that Lord is talking about these factors, comes the important point, which is the last W is make things worthy. And how can we make things worthy? How can we be worthy of the blessings? That has been revealed in the final set of shlokas, which is from 23 to 28. But before that, Lord Krishna is also revealing the austerity of mind, body and speech. We have discussed this many times. What is the austerity of body? Okay. So austerity of body is, it consists of the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Brahmanas, the spiritual masters and the elders like mother and father. Right? It also includes the teachers, the professors, the various instructors that we see in our life, the coaches. And other four factors are, so first is worship, second is cleanliness, third is simplicity, fourth is celibacy, and fifth is non-violence. So now austerity of mind, body and speech, we will see these 5 elements in each of them. So each of them have 5 important aspects. So they actually purify हमारे शरीर को, because we can perform action only with body, mind and words. BMW, right? You remember that? So that's how we perform. So we should keep them austere. Any activity is performed using these 3. So body is kept austere by worshipping the superiors, which include the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So everything is actually, we should see others as representative of Him, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, the superiors like father, mother. And then second is cleanliness. Cleanliness is next to godliness, Srila Prabhupada used to say. So we should keep our body externally clean, and internally we clean it by the chanting of the holy name. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then simplicity is the third, right? We should live simple life. Simple living, higher thinking, that should be the motto. And celibacy, right? So this is about samskaras. Even to get progeny, we should follow samskaras, the rituals, like Garbhodhan samskara to beget children. And non-violence. We should refrain from eating, meat, fish, eggs, even onion, garlic, because they're in the mode of ignorance. Now, austerity of speech. Austerity of speech is consist of speaking words that are truthful, that are pleasing, that are beneficial. It's not agitating to others, and also reciting Vedic literature. So we are reading Bhagavad Gita. It is transcendental literature. So these are the 5 aspects with respect to the austerity of speech. And now austerity of mind. What are the 5 aspects for austerity of mind? Satisfaction. Again, simplicity. Just like austerity of body, our mind should be very simple. It should be grave, right? Srila Prabhupada pointing to Prashant Mahasagar, Pacific Ocean, he said, why do you think it is so stable? So, why does it look so stable from the top? His disciples couldn't answer. So he said, because it is deep. So we have to get depth in our character, right? We should be grave. We should be self-controlled. That's how you get. And how can you control? If you can control your tongue, then you can control all other senses. And you can control tongue by chanting of the holy name. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And by eating prasadam. That purifies our very existence. That's why when people say, our children are not taking to Krishna consciousness, we want them. Well, give them prasadam. Give them wonderful kirtans and, recite very nicely. Play wonderful, Vaishnava music, songs around them. And give them an experience that they love. They would love to be in this environment. And sometimes when they go out of this environment, they say, oh, you guys are having all the fun, I'm coming back. Because our program in Krishna consciousness is to spiritualize the body through recreation, right? What do? We eat, we dance, and we chant. That's all we do. Day and night. That's all. Because it is so wonderful. So there is nothing lacking in Krishna consciousness. You can do it, Priti Purvakam, and joyfully perform, right? Susukam kartum avyayam. And you can perform it constantly without any interruption. Apratihata ahetuki. It's also without any motivation. But just to please Lord Shri Krishna, we all become happy. So, self-control and purification of one's existence are the austerities of mind. Now, Lord Krishna, he also describes the penances, or we talked about austerity. So, Srila Prabhupada used penance and austerity interchangeably. Austerities, tapa, can be also in 3 modes. So, what the austerity performed with transcendental faith by men, not expecting any material benefit, but only for the sake of pleasing Lord Shri Krishna, for the sake of the Supreme. That is in the mode of goodness. When it is, the austerity is performed, or penance is performed for the sake of name, fame and glories, for pride, for getting respect and seeking worship from others, that is in the mode of passion. And it is neither stable nor permanent. So that is also being revealed by Lord Shri Krishna, that such is not a good tapa. And then finally, mudhas, he is basically saying the ones by foolish people, right? They cause self-torture not just to the body, to the Atma, but also to the super soul. That is in the mode of ignorance, and they seek to injure others. So this also includes the terrorists and people who try to harm others. And they are saying, we are just doing it, this is what our religion says. They actually, it's not what the religion says. No single religion in the world teaches, to harm others. They all teach to serve, and spread love of Godhead. But people, they misunderstand the religion, so they get bewildered in mode of ignorance. And further down, then, they're in slumber. Now, charity. Let's discuss about charity in the 3 modes. So he's saying charity that is given out of duty, without expecting any return, right? It's not an exchange. Prahlad Maharaj, when Narasimhadev was asked for some benediction, it's like, I'm not doing a exchange of, I'm not doing a trade with you. It is my love that I'm offering you because you are my Lord. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reveals in Shishashtaka that, Lord, even if you are not present before my eyes, even if you are, not here, this is Radharani's mood, he's revealing to us. But still, even if you trample me with your feet, still you are my Lord, birth after birth. So you are always my Lord. So that is the true way of loving the Lord. And so charity without expectation at a proper time, place and to the worthy person. So time, place and circumstances are very important. Such charity is in the mode of goodness. But what kind of charity is in the mode of passion? Which is with some expectation of some return. People are attached to the fruits of the result. So when people say, okay, we want to perform this charity so that we get, higher births or higher returns. There are people, they go to see Vaishnav Devi and they say, we'll give her 1 lakh expecting 100 lakh back. So sometimes they're looking in this trade. Or sometimes people they're forced to give charity, right? Everyone is giving, why are you not giving? People force them. So that is in a grudging mode they have to give. Not wanting, but being forced by higher authorities or people who are influential. So such charity is in the mode of passion, even that. So we should not resort to the mode of passion, we should resort to the mode of goodness, where we should give it based on the right time, place and circumstances. Now so they are still following time, place and circumstances, but with the expectation of result, with name, fame and glories, with in a grudging mood. So even though the time, place is right, the circumstance is not right. And that's what causes, again, it's not stable, it's not permanent, and it does not help one to elevate higher. But what kind of charity is in the mode of ignorance? Charity which is performed at an impure place, right? Time, place and circumstances, they are all inappropriate. At the wrong time, to an unworthy person, such charity is said to be in the mode of ignorance. It's done without respect, without proper attention, without chanting the mantras, without a proper mindset. So such chanting is in the mode of ignorance. Now Lord Krishna reveals finally how to purify all our activities, yajna, dan, tap, all the activities, faith, food, worship, all of them. How can we purify? By using Om Tat Sat, which means that I am doing it as an offering to you, my dear Lord. So devotees, when we start any activity, we start with Om, we're carrying it out with Tat, and then finally it's for Sat, the eternity. So that is representing to please Lord Shri Krishna. So when we want to perform something, and if you pay attention in Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada in the preface he's writing and he's ending with Om Tat Sat. So which is also he's teaching us by his example. Preface or introduction, he ends it with Om Tat Sat. And actually, normally devotees, acharyas, they used to end the literature with Om Tat Sat, that this is an offering to our dear Lord, Lord Shri Krishna. So this is the way we can make it worthy. So all the activities that we perform, all the abilities that we have, all the engagements that we engage, they are all just 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Zeros, no matter how many millions of zeros, you add them up, the result is 0. How can you make them worthy? If you have 1 before them, then they have value. You have 1 followed by so many zeros, so then there is value, right? And the 1 has to be on the left side. So again, we have to keep the right mindset as how we are approaching the Lordship. And so we can make things permanent. So when we do all sacrifices, charity and austerities, right, yajna, dan, tap, with faith for the pleasure of Lordship, then we become worthy to receive His mercy. And we rejuvenate, हम लोग renew होते हैं, हम लोगों का body material से spiritualize होता है, हमारी intelligence, हमारी memory, our existence, everything becomes transcendental to the 3 modes of material nature, and that is what we seek. So, when we perform yajna, dan, tap, sacrifice, austerity and charity. And this is the lesson. So yes, one can rise from mode of ignorance to mode of passion to mode of goodness, or one can directly take to Krishna consciousness, take to devotional service and transcend the 3 modes of material nature and attain perfection. And sometimes people say, wait a minute, how are there other examples? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he delivered Jagai and Madhai, born in a Brahmin family, but they were further below the Shudras, their state was, the way they were living their life. They were performing all kind of abominable activities, all kind of sins. And even they became pure devotee of the Lordship by the mercy of the Lordship, by Nityananda Prabhu's mercy. So he is Adi Guru. So we have to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. And there are so many wonderful spiritual masters in ISKCON that you can take shelter of. In Gauriya Sampradaya, there are so many wonderful, and all other Sampradayas as well, Rudra Sampradaya, Shri Sampradaya, Kumar Sampradaya. They are wonderful, wonderful, opportunities we like. And this is the easiest process. Bhakti is the easiest process. So we should also understand from that perspective that we should take to it and not seek impermanent when these yajna, dana, tapa, sacrifice, charity and penance, austerity, when they are performed without faith, then he is revealing that it is impermanent, it is asat, and it's useless in this life and the next. So when we are making endeavor, we better make an endeavor to please the Lordship, because he is making every endeavor to take care of us, to maintain us. The very existence of ours comes because of his mercy. So he is causelessly merciful, and now we should reciprocate. We should, do our part nicely and make our life new. Make this new year full of spirituality around us. And when we engage with all these, this mindset, with these lessons that we learn in this chapter, we can become worthy of all the blessings, and we can rejuvenate, we can renew our existence. This simply starts with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So these are some of the wonderful lessons that we learned today, again in this chapter, as how, and the acronym we used is new, and is for the 9 aspects. We are looking at the faith, worship and food. We are looking at austerity of mind, body and speech. We are looking at yajna, dana, tapa, sacrifice, austerity and charity. And we also elevate ourselves, which is from 11 to 22. Lord Krishna teaches us how we can elevate ourselves by engaging in sacrifice, austerity and charity for his pleasure, and what should be the mindset, what should be our expectation, not expecting any results but only to please Lord Shri Krishna. That will elevate us. And finally, W is for worthy. So again, we should make ourselves worthy to be the recipient of his grace, to be recipient of his mercy, to renew our lives. So again, this year is a great opportunity ahead of us. Every moment is a great opportunity ahead of us. So we can renew ourselves. So happy, very, very happy Krishna conscious New Year to all of you. Please make yourself, spiritualize your existence by engaging in yajna, dana, tapa, sacrifice, austerity and charity with Krishna consciousness, to please Lord Shri Krishna. Every activity, austerity of mind, body and speech for Lord's pleasure. Hare Krishna.
Can we check some questions?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So please, if you have any question, we are taking questions at this time.
Hare Krishna, dear friends.
Hare Krishna.
प्रभु जी next 5-10 minutes में अगर आपके कुछ questions हैं उनको आंसर कर सकते हैं. कृष्णा साहू, आशुतोष उपाध्याय, हरे कृष्णा, सुरेश कुमार सर,
हरे कृष्णा,
आजाद भारत, श्रीनिवास प्रधान, अनुगर, रोहित ठाकुर, गोविंद बथम, कुलदीप देका, हरे कृष्णा एंड हैप्पी न्यू ईयर टू एवरीवन. तेजा नागेश,
हरे कृष्णा,
ललित सिंह, स्वरूप उपाध्याय, हिमाजय ठाकुर, सागर ठाकुर, सुचरिता खातून, समीर कवथेकर, हरि बोल. आप सभी का नववर्ष पर बहुत बहुत अभिनंदन है, शुभकामनाएं हैं. आप सभी को बहुत बहुत ब्लेसिंग्स हैं जिन्होंने ये क्लास अटेंड की और बेनिफिट लिया भगवान की टीचिंग्स का. अगर आपको कुछ क्वेश्चंस हो तो प्रभु जी अभी 5-10 मिनट्स हैं और आंसर कर सकते हैं आपके क्वेश्चंस. जितेंद्र सिंह दोदू, दीपक राठौर, हरे कृष्णा, विनोद कुमार जंगी, हरि बोल. So Prabhuji, there was a question earlier.
Yes.
तो एक फ्रेंड या डिवोटी पूछ रहे थे कि अगर स्क्रिप्चर रीडिंग में अभी शुरू में इंटरेस्ट नहीं है तो वो कैसे डेवलप किया जा सकता है?
Simply pray to the Lordship that, my dear Lord, please engage me in your devotional service. Reading, writing is the 10th and 11th, Shukdev Goswami says, and chanting can enable us because it's a prayer to engage in devotional service. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hear a lot of bhajans, hear a lot of discourses, and seek devotee association. Instead of engaging in mental speculation, man's के नहीं drive home, because मन जो होता है ना, माइंड, इट कैन बी हमारा सबसे बड़ा शत्रु भी हो सकता है, सबसे अच्छा फ्रेंड भी हो सकता है. सो लोग कंफ्यूज होते हैं कि सबसे बड़ा शत्रु कैसे होता है, जब हम लोगों को वो अंधकार की तरफ ले जाता है, राइट, माया में ढकेलता है. जबकि वो अध्यात्म की तरफ जब जाता है, भगवान कृष्ण के डिवोशनल सर्विस में लगता है, then it becomes a best friend. And to make it our best friend, we see devotee association, very important. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा। तो
Yes.
डिवोटी की संगति से
Yes.
और भगवान को प्रे करने से हमें वो मोटिवेशन आएगा,
हरे कृष्ण।
जिससे कि हम
Yes.
इंटरेस्ट डेवलप कर सकते हैं, जैसे कोई पर्टिकुलर एक्टिविटी लाइक
Right.
रीडिंग स्क्रिप्चर्स या
Yes.
सेवा में।
Right.
हरे कृष्णा।
हरे
सौरभ
कृष्णा।
प्रतीक्षों में पंकज मिश्रा, हरे
हरे
कृष्णा।
कृष्णा।
जितेंद्र सानी,
Hare Krishna.
दीपक राठौर प्रभु पूछ रहे हैं
Yes.
क्या मैं कुछ भी पूछ सकता हूँ? यस प्रभु जी,
कुछ भी पूछ सकते हैं।
स्पिरिचुअल
हरे
इंक्वायरीज
कृष्ण।
हैं जो आप जरूर
Yes.
पूछिए, क्योंकि अगर बहुत ही पर्सनल काइंड की आपकी प्रॉब्लम है तो वो यहाँ सबके सामने पूछना ऑब्वियसली अप्रोप्रिएट नहीं होगा।
Yes.
लेकिन आपका अगर क्वेश्चन ऐसा है जो बहुत पर्सनल नहीं है और सभी उससे बेनिफिट भी ले सकते हैं तो जरूर पूछिए। आप बहुत बहुत आपको इस बारे में संकोच करने की जरूरत नहीं है। प्लीज
हरे
आस्क योर
कृष्ण।
क्वेश्चन।
Yes.
राकेश हल्दर, श्वेता शर्मा, दीपक राठौर, हरे कृष्णा।
Ask any question that you have.
बोल।
Hare Krishna.
So, इन्होंने पूछा है
Yes.
हरे कृष्णा। सो प्रभु जी, देयर वाज अ क्वेश्चन कि जब चैंटिंग करते हैं
Yes.
तो ये पता है कि हमें अटेंटिव होना चाहिए, लेकिन माइंड बहुत डिस्ट्रैक्ट होता है। हम
Right.
उठ के काम करने लगते हैं पैरेलल में,
Yes.
या पैरेलल में कोई और कन्वर्सेशंस चल रहे होते हैं, फेसबुक
Yes.
चेक करने लगते हैं,
Right.
अपने फोन पे मैसेजेस चेक करने लगते हैं।
Right.
तो ये टेंडेंसी को कैसे कंट्रोल किया जा सकता है?
Hare Krishna. Actually, mind is mana chanchala Krishna. Arjun says that mind is very flickering, it's very obstinate, right? It's like a monkey is just jumping all over the place. So, this is a normal thing that in the beginning when you start to chant, जब starting में हम लोग जप करते हैं तो हमारा mind इधर उधर भागता है. We should make a sincere effort to bring it back. As soon as we should be constantly checking, where is our mind? Bring it back. Like a small child who is always playing. जब उसको starting में study कराने की कोशिश करते हैं, parents, we have our experience when we were children, right? Parents हम लोग को पढ़ाने की कोशिश करते हैं, we were not very much interested. So they had to bring us back. प्यार से समझा के this is for our benefit, this is for rejuvenating. So again हम लोगों को हमारी भलाई के लिए, हमारे वेलफेयर के लिए, हमारे को इससे बेनिफिट मिलता है, हम अपने लाइफ में सुखी रह सकते हैं. दैट इज़ द ट्रू वे वी कैन बी हैप्पी. सो वी हैव टू ब्रिंग आवर माइंड बैक एंड कंटिन्यूसली चैंट हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. और हमें उतने ही स्ट्रांगली भगवान से प्रेयरफुल मूड में चैंट करना चाहिए ताकि वो वापस आ जाए. स्टार्टिंग में जो होता है वो चलता है, लेकिन वी शुड ब्रिंग इट बैक. हरे कृष्णा.
हरे कृष्णा. तो माइंड
Yes.
को कंट्रोल करने के लिए पहले तो भगवान ने पूरा चैप्टर भी दिया
Yes.
हुआ है, राइट? माइंड तो बहुत चंचल है,
Right.
लेकिन भगवान आपने अभी जैसा बताया, सिंपली 2 पॉइंट्स हैं.
Yes.
प्रेयर कर सकते हैं
Prayer.
भगवान से कि वो हमें उनकी कृपा चाहिए माइंड
Yes.
कंट्रोल करने के लिए, और दूसरा, माइंड अगर इधर उधर भटक भी जाता है तो उसे
Bring it
वापस ले आना चाहिए. ये
हरे
सिंपल
कृष्णा.
2 बातें हैं, और
Yes.
चैंटिंग कभी नहीं छोड़ना चाहिए.
Yes.
हरे कृष्णा.
हरे कृष्णा.
So sorry Pratik Shoma, Pankaj Mishra, Samita Rastogi.
Hare
Thanks to
Krishna.
both of you for
Hare
explanation. Hare Krishna. Deepak Rathore.
हरे कृष्णा.
प्रभुपाद जी ने इस्कॉन में दीक्षा
Yes.
गुरु किसको बनाया था? आपके पास कोई प्रमाण है? प्लीज बताएं.
ओके. सो प्रभुपाद ने बहुत जगहों पे इसका रेफरेंसेस दिए हैं. एट वन प्लेस ही सेड दैट व्हेन योर स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर इज प्रेजेंट ऑन दिस अर्थ, then the disciples should not become diksha guru. They can be shiksha guru. They can be instructing. हम शिक्षा गुरु बन सकते हैं. और उन्होंने बहुत ही क्लियरली बताया है, आचार्यों ने बताया है अच्छी तरह से कि परंपरा कैसे चलेगी. जो आपको दीक्षा गुरु ने आपको जो नॉलेज दी है, वी आर जस्ट लाइक पोस्टमैन, राइट? सो दैट हैज़ टू कंटिन्यू, राइट? बहुत सी बार लोग ये बात भी पूछते हैं कि भाई जो व्यासदेव थे उनको तो देवर्षि नारद ने श्रीमद् भागवतम लिखते हो कहा था, फिर वो दीक्षा गुरु कैसे बन गए, वो शिक्षा गुरु कैसे बन गए, उनसे परंपरा कैसे चल गई, राइट? बहुत सी बार इस तरह के क्वेश्चन उठते हैं लोगों के दिमाग में, बिकॉज दे हैव डाउटिंग माइंड. एंड लॉर्ड कृष्ण खुद ही कहते हैं कि फॉर अ डाउटिंग माइंड देयर इज नो हैप्पीनेस इन दिस लाइफ. ना तो इस जीवन में खुशी रह सकते हैं, ना ही अगले जीवन में खुशी रह सकते हैं. वो सिंपल सी बात है, हम लोग परंपरा से आ रहे हैं, और इस परंपरा में तो दीक्षा गुरु हर जगह पे दीक्षा गुरु नहीं हुए हैं, शिक्षा गुरु हुए हैं. देवर्षि नारद के जो डिसाइपल थे व्यास थे, वो तो शिक्षा गुरु थे, देवर्षि नारद व्यासदेव के। दीक्षा गुरु नहीं थे, दीक्षा गुरु तो पराशर मुनि थे। लेकिन व्यासदेव को हम ब्रह्म संप्रदाय में समझते हैं। क्यों? क्योंकि देवर्षि नारद उनके गुरु माने जाते हैं। ऐसे ही गौर किशोरदास बाबा जी महाराज, उनके दीक्षा गुरु नहीं थे भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर, शीला भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर, उनके शिक्षा गुरु थे। सो मेनी टाइम्स विदाउट दीक्षा ऑल्सो द डिसिप्लिक सक्सेशन केम आउट। हम लोग अर्जुन को जब एग्जाम्पल्स देख रहे हैं इसके अंदर, भगवद गीता में लॉर्ड कृष्णा डिड नॉट से लेट्स डू हवन एंड आई विल गिव यू दीक्षा। नो, ही गेव हिम विजन थ्रू शिक्षा, राइट? So he received the proper mindset, proper knowledge, proper understanding, so that he could become perfect, right? He attained perfection in friendship, Arjun, right? साख्य रस में उन्होंने perfection लिया क्योंकि भगवान से उनको जो उपदेश मिले, और उसको फिर व्यासदेव ने महाभारत में इंक्लूड किया ना। तो भगवद गीता, गीतोपनिषद, इट अपीयर्स इन महाभारत 23 to 40 जो हैं भीष्म पर्व के अंदर जो अध्याय हैं, उसमें एक भगवद गीता है। गीतोपनिषद इज ऑल्सो अनदर नेम फॉर भगवद गीता। तो हमारी जो परंपरा है, आप जिस तरह से पूछ रहे हैं, उसके अंदर समझिए कि डिसिप्लिक सक्सेशन आ रहा है, राइट? एंड लॉर्ड कृष्णा हिमसेल्फ सेज, मीन्स अगेन इन स्क्रिप्चर्स इट इज क्लियरली गिवन, ब्रह्मा भविते कौन भाग्यवान जीवा, गुरु कृष्ण प्रसाद पाया भक्ति लता बीजा। तो प्रभुपाद गुरु से इंस्ट्रक्शन जो उनको मिले थे श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती महाराज के, मैं उसके अंदर वापस आऊँगा इस वर्ष पे, वो भी उनको इंस्ट्रक्शन पहली मीटिंग में मिले थे जब उन्होंने इनिशिएशन भी नहीं लिया था। उनके गुरु ने कहा था यू नो इंग्लिश, देन व्हाई डोंट यू स्प्रेड दिस नॉलेज टू द इंग्लिश स्पीकिंग वर्ल्ड। तो उन्होंने वो नॉलेज में थोड़ा पैराफ्रेज किया है, बट ही टुक दैट इंस्ट्रक्शन, द इंस्ट्रक्शन ही गॉट बिफोर गेटिंग इनिशिएटेड, बिफोर गेटिंग दीक्षा, बिकॉज इट वॉज एन इंस्ट्रक्शन। वो शिक्षा गुरु की तरह उन्होंने उसको लिया और उन्होंने अपने मन में पहले ही ढाल लिया था कि यही मेरे गुरु हैं, राइट? तो समटाइम्स पीपल दे गेट बिविल्डर्ड। शीला प्रभुपाद पर्पस आर हियर, वी कैन लुक एट इट। हम भगवान उनका तात्पर्य जो उन्होंने दिए हैं अपने पर्पस, एक्सटेटिक पर्पस में, आध्यात्मिक ज्ञान जो हम लोग को दिया है, प्रभुपाद ने इतना सिंपल लैंग्वेज में समझा दिया है। लेकिन जो लोग डाउट करते हैं ना, वो तब भी डाउट करते रहते हैं, जबकि परंपरा सिंपली बताई गई है इसके अंदर कि वी शुड फॉलो परंपरा। एंड डिसिप्लिक सक्सेशन मीन्स नॉलेज पासेस एंड द गुरु इज जस्ट लाइक अ पोस्टमैन, ही इज पासिंग ऑन दैट मैसेज। जो एक डाकिया, राइट, डाक लाता है, यानी लेटर लेके आता है पोस्टमैन, और हम लोग को वो लेटर के अंदर जो मैसेज होता है एज इट इज़ बताता है। तो उसी तरह से द मैसेज हम लोग को एज इट इज़ आचार्यों से मिल रहा है। And so we are in disciplic success. There are so many proofs. I can keep going on for hours, but you should understand it's very clearly given. और scriptures में दिया है कि हम लोग ब्रह्मांड में भ्रमण कर रहे हैं, लेकिन चैत्य गुरु भगवान कृष्ण परमात्मा in our heart helps us meet when we are sincere. He helps us meet a physical guru, right? A bona fide disciplic succession में जो bona fide गुरु हैं उनसे हमें मिलाते हैं। और उन्होंने क्लियरली कहा है तद विद्धि परिप्राणतेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेशयन्ति तज ज्ञानम ज्ञानिनस् तत्वदर्शिनः 434। उसके अंदर भगवान कृष्ण खुद ही बता रहे हैं 34th verse of chapter 4 in Bhagavad Gita कि there is a process, please try to understand तद विद्धि परिप्रश्नेन सेवया। You should inquire from your spiritual master, serve him. How can you inquire one who is not there, right? How can you serve one who is not there? And आपको कैसे रिवील करेंगे तद बिकॉज ज्ञानिना तत्वदर्शिना। सो तत्वदर्शी होते हैं जो स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर, जिन्होंने ट्रुथ को देखा है, हमको उनकी शेल्टर लेना चाहिए। हरे कृष्ण। होपफुली दिस आंसर्स योर क्वेश्चन।
सो प्रभु जी ने बताया श्रीला प्रभुपाद के जो गुरु जी थे श्रीला भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर,
yes.
और वो दीक्षा गुरु थे। और अब इन्होंने दीपक राठौर जी ने एक और फॉलोअप क्वेश्चन लिखा है इसी टॉपिक पे, yes. और वो क्वेश्चन है, तो इस्कॉन में फिर बहुत से दीक्षा गुरु क्यों बने हुए हैं? क्योंकि प्रभुपाद जी ने तो कहा था कि जब मैं बनाऊंगा जब आप दीक्षा गुरु बनाएंगे। तो बेसिकली आई थिंक इनका क्वेश्चन है कि yes. परंपरा में इतने yes. सारे दीक्षा गुरु कैसे हो गए इस्कॉन में, right. तो उसको बताइए। और साथ में आई थिंक आप ये भी शेयर करिए कि गुरु कितने टाइप के होते हैं, क्योंकि कई बार लोग कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं। yes. शिक्षा गुरु बहुत सारे होते हैं।
Yes, दीक्षा
लेकिन
गुरु केवल
एक
एक
ही से
होते
ली
हैं।
जाती है।
Yes.
तो आप इन्हीं दोनों क्वेश्चंस को आप आंसर कर दीजिए।
जैसे हम लोगों ने इसमें एक्सक्यूज मी चैप्टर 17 में पढ़ा डिविजन्स ऑफ फेथ, राइट, कि व्हेन यू परफॉर्म सैक्रिफाइस, ऑस्टेरिटी, चैरिटी, यज्ञ, दान, तप, इन द 3 मोड्स, एंड उसके अंदर मोड ऑफ गुडनेस सत्व गुण में जो होते हैं यज्ञ, दान, तप जब हम करते हैं तो we should do it without expecting any return as per the injunctions of the Shastras. And Shastras में clearly दिया हुआ है that you take disciplic succession. शीला प्रभुपाद ने जब पहले तो ये it would be interesting to know कि प्रभुपाद ने ये कब कहा कि जब आप दीक्षा गुरु बनेंगे because शास्त्रों में ये clearly दिया हुआ है that a disciple अगर उनके शिक्षा गुरु इस वर्ल्ड में प्रेजेंट हैं, he should not become दीक्षा गुरु, राइट। सो प्रभुपाद अपने रहते रहते तो दीक्षा गुरु बनाते ही नहीं, क्योंकि दीक्षा गुरु उनके डिसाइपल तभी बनेंगे जब वो चले जाएंगे, he goes back home, back to Godhead. So after that only, तो he would not have made anyway, बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट है। और उसके बाद में भी अगर आप इस तरह से क्वेश्चंस डाउट वगैरह आते हैं तो यू शुड रिफर टू द शास्त्रस कि यू हैव टू एक्सेप्ट अ बोना फाइड स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर हू इज अपीयरिंग इन डिसिप्लिक सक्सेशन, राइट। भगवान कृष्ण खुद कह रहे हैं एंड दैट पर्सन हैज टू बी अ लिविंग पर्सन, राइट। चैत्य गुरु लॉर्ड कृष्ण इन द हार्ट एज सुपर सोल इज इनेबलिंग अस टू मीट अ लिविंग स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर आउटसाइड, सो राइट, within as Chaitya Guru and without and outside ourselves as Diksha Guru. बट दीक्षा गुरु केवल एक हो सकते हैं, राइट। शिक्षा गुरु बहुत से हो सकते हैं। जैसे कोई बालक जन्म लेता है तो मदर सबसे पहली गुरु होती हैं, वो सिखाती हैं कि कैसे इस भौतिक जगत में कैसे निर्वाह करना चाहिए, कैसे उठना चाहिए, कैसे आचरण करना चाहिए, कौन पिता है वो इसका भी ज्ञान देती हैं, राइट। कौन पिता है, कौन भाई है, कैसा आचरण रखना चाहिए, बच्चों को अच्छी तरह से साफ रखती हैं, क्लीनलीनेस दिखाती हैं, ऑस्टेरिटी ऑफ माइंड, बॉडी एंड स्पीच मदर इन्फोर्स करती हैं सबसे पहले। उसके बाद में बच्चा ऑब्जर्व करता है पेरेंट्स को और उनका आपस में कैसा आचरण है, उससे वो ऑस्टेरिटी ऑफ माइंड, बॉडी एंड स्पीच सीखता है। वो किस तरह के सेक्रीफाइसेस, किस तरह के यज्ञ कर रहे हैं, किस तरह के ऑस्टेरिटीज़, किस तरह के तप कर रहे हैं, किस तरह की चैरिटी, किस तरह का दान कर रहे हैं, वो देख देख के सीखता है। बिकॉज दे आर द रोल मॉडल्स एंड स्पेशली फॉर बॉयज़ फादर्स आर द रोल मॉडल्स, फॉर गर्ल्स मदर्स आर द रोल मॉडल्स। तो हम लोग खुद सीख रहे हैं। उसके बाद में जब स्कूल जाते हैं तो हमारे को वहाँ टीचर्स मिलते हैं, दे आर इंस्ट्रक्टिंग, राइट, प्रोवाइडेड दे आर डायरेक्टिंग इन कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस। दैट इज़ ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि वो हमें जो सिखा रहे हैं हम उसको कृष्णा कॉन्शियस में अप्लाई करते हैं, देन दे आर ट्रू इंस्ट्रक्टिंग स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर। अदरवाइज दे आर जस्ट शेयरिंग इंफॉर्मेशन, दे आर इन्फॉर्मर्स, राइट। वाइल दिस नॉलेज इज ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन, राइट, इट लीड्स टू ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन। ये हम लोगों को ट्रांसफॉर्म करती है, हमारा अस्तित्व को आध्यात्मिक बनाती हैं। हम भौतिक जगत में हुए हैं लेकिन हमें अध्यात्म का ज्ञान मिलता है, हमें अध्यात्म शिक्षा से इंस्ट्रक्शंस, स्पिरिचुअल इंस्ट्रक्शंस मिलते हैं फ्रॉम द आचार्यस, फ्रॉम लॉर्ड कृष्ण हिमसेल्फ इन भगवद गीता। एंड व्हाट वी शुड डू, ये तो भगवान कृष्ण से मिल रहा है गीता में, लेकिन हाउ वी शुड डू ये मिलता है श्रीमद् भागवत में। और फिर लोग बोलते हैं मे बी इट इज इम्प्रैक्टिकल। भाई ध्रुव महाराज ही वॉज ऑलरेडी इन हेवनली प्लैनेट्स एंड ही वॉज इन सच अ सतयुग में थे तो वो कर सकते थे, तो अब के युग में कैसे कर सकते हैं? तो भगवान खुद आए चैतन्य महाप्रभु की तरह, उन्होंने हमें सिखाया कैसे है। और भगवान खुद आए मीन्स अगेन इन ऑन बैटलफील्ड 5000 years back to show Arjun what is true knowledge, this transcendental knowledge, श्रीमद् भगवद गीता के रूप में जैसे हम पढ़ते हैं। So this is Lord's words are not different from him. So when the spiritual masters are there, their significance is to reveal the knowledge to us so that we can become spiritualized, तो हम अपना जीवन सार्थक कर सकें। अब डाउट करेंगे, संशय करेंगे, जबकि भगवान बोल रहे हैं असमोड़ा असंशया, तो देयर इज नो हेल्प। सो लॉर्ड कृष्ण खुद ही बोल देते हैं भगवद गीता में, फॉर अ डाउटिंग माइंड देयर इज नो हैप्पीनेस, देयर इज नो पीस इन दिस वर्ल्ड और इन द नेक्स्ट। हरे कृष्ण। होपफुली दिस सेटिस्फाइज योर इंक्वायरी।
Thank you for
Hare Krishna.
explaining so nicely. अर्पिता परमार, योगिता शेट्टी,
Hare Krishna.
दीपू घोष,
Hare
विपुल
Krishna.
सातपरा, हरे कृष्णा,
Hare
हैप्पी
Krishna.
न्यू ईयर,
Happy New Year.
जय श्री कृष्णा सभी को, मनु भाई
Krishna.
पटेल, सुनील चौधरी,
Hare Krishna.
जीत कौर,
Hare
रिचा
Krishna.
मोहित गर,
Hare
किंग
Krishna.
दुबला,
Hare Krishna.
दीपक राठौर
हरे कृष्णा।
का क्वेश्चन आंसर हो गए हैं।
Hare Krishna.
सोमाली श्रीवास्तव, निर्मल पांडे,
Hare
उदर
Krishna.
परेरा, रेखा डांगे,
कृष्णा।
चिन्मय देव। A very happy Krishna conscious New Year, dear friends. Raj Yadav, रजना पटेल,
Hare Krishna.
दीपक राठौर जी ने तीसरा क्वेश्चन पूछा है जो कि
बताइए।
हम अभी बताते हैं फ्रेंड्स
हरे
को वेलकम
कृष्णा।
करने के बाद। रजना पटेल, केवल कृष्ण शर्मा, माधव सेन राजपूत,
Hare Krishna.
अशोक कुमार, मुकेश पटेल। हरे कृष्णा एंड
कृष्णा।
हैप्पी न्यू ईयर फ्रेंड्स, बी ब्लेस्ड।
हरे
सुजी
कृष्णा।
रेड्डी, शिवेन लक्ष्मण, अनिश कुमार हेला,
हरे कृष्णा।
द्वारकानाथ हिंदूपुर,
Hare Krishna.
देव अनिल, राहुल राज, शैलेश गोकुल
कृष्णा।
सिंह,
Hare Krishna.
देवेश
हरे
श्रीवास्तव,
कृष्णा।
हिंतेंकी
हरे
भास्कर,
कृष्णा।
मीरा भूषण।
हरे
हरि बोल
कृष्णा।
फ्रेंड्स, प्रभु जी इस वक्त आप सबके क्वेश्चंस आंसर कर रहे हैं।
Yes.
अगर आपको किसी भी तरह के स्पिरिचुअलिटी से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चंस हैं, भगवान
Hare
कृष्ण के
Krishna.
टीचिंग्स पे क्वेश्चंस हैं, भागवत गीता भागवतम पे क्वेश्चंस हैं,
हरे
प्लीज
कृष्णा।
आस्क देम नाउ। प्रभु जी ब्रीफ में कोशिश करेंगे, हम क्वेश्चंस ले रहे हैं। सेंटिल मनोहरन, मयूर भोगा, नेहा चंद्रा, मणिमरन। हरे कृष्णा
Hare
फ्रेंड्स।
Krishna.
अर्नव, साधु खान, लक्ष्मी
कृष्णा।
छेत्री, एंड आई एम गोइंग
कृष्णा।
बैक टू द
Question.
question.
Hare
There
Krishna.
was a third question.
Yes.
It's good to be inquisitive and clarify our
Yes.
doubts.
Yes.
However,
Very-
we should develop faith
Yes.
with the answers and the teachings
Right.
rather than becoming a doubting personality.
Right. Yes.
अच्छा, दीपक राठौर जी, आपका
कृष्णा।
थर्ड क्वेश्चन। उनका नाम ही श्री वृंदावन चंद्रदास जी जो हमारे शिक्षा गुरु, उनके पास प्रमाण है।
Hare
ओके,
Krishna.
वी डोंट नो हु इज श्री वृंदावन चंद्रदास जी।
हरे कृष्णा।
और प्लीज आप मेक श्योर करिए कि ये जो प्रमाण जिनको आप बोलते हैं,
Yes.
ये स्क्रिप्चर और जेन्युइन डिवोटीज के नॉलेज से मैच करे।
Right.
अदरवाइज इट कैन क्रिएट अ लॉट ऑफ कंफ्यूजन।
Right. And as जब इस तरह के doubts भी आते हैं ना, तो there is a very beautiful formula. There is a very beautiful solution. हरे नाम एव केवलम, कलौ नाश्तेव 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 गतिरन्यथा। चैतन्य महाप्रभु फ्रॉम बृहद नारदीय पुराण से ये प्रीच कर रहे हैं कि भगवान का नाम लेना। और 3 बार क्यों बोला हरे नाम एव केवलम? ही इज सेइंग बिकॉज ऑफ स्ट्रेस। जब हम किसी चीज को वेरी वेरी बोलते हैं, वी आर सेइंग एक्सट्रीमली, राइट? सो दिस इज टू स्ट्रेस कि भगवान का नाम लेना ही केवलम। कलौ नाश्तेव 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 गतिरन्यथा। अगेन 3 बार बोला कलौ नाश्तेव, क्योंकि टू स्ट्रेस द इल इफेक्ट्स, जो इस कली एज के जो दुष्प्रभाव हैं, जो इफेक्ट्स हैं, इल इफेक्ट्स, उनको डिस्ट्रॉय करने के लिए भगवान का नाम लेना जरूरी है। प्लीज टेक टू द चैंटिंग ऑफ द होली नेम, द डाउट्स विल बिकम वेरी क्लियर। ऑल यू हैव टू डू इज रेज योर हैंड्स एंड कॉल आउट हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा डियर डिवोटीज।
नेहा चंद्रा,
हरे कृष्णा।
मणिमरन, सुजी
हरे
रेड्डी,
कृष्णा।
सरोज कुमार
हरे
ठाकुर,
कृष्णा।
नेहा
हरे
चंद्रा,
कृष्णा।
राज सिंह। हरे कृष्णा
हरे
एंड हैप्पी
कृष्णा।
न्यू ईयर फ्रेंड्स।
हरे कृष्णा।
सेंथिल मनोहरन, भरत पंचाल,
हरे कृष्णा।
रंजन डे, सुमंता
हरे
जेना,
कृष्णा।
एस.के. ठाकुर,
हरे
किरण
कृष्णा।
वर्मा,
हरे
विष्णु,
कृष्णा।
कनम
हरे कृष्णा।
कोडे, साक्षी
हरे
नायडू,
कृष्णा।
हरिबोल, टीकाराम
हरे
मिश्रा, सुमन साहू,
हरे कृष्णा।
हरिबोल, अमित
हरे
आचार्य,
कृष्णा।
सुखा रंजन
हरे
मृधा,
कृष्णा।
राहुल राज।
हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा। प्रभु
हरे
जी इस
कृष्णा।
वक्त आंसर कर रहे हैं क्वेश्चंस। आप में से किसी को भी किसी प्रकार का क्लैरिफिकेशन चाहिए भगवान की भगवत गीता की टीचिंग्स, भागवतम के ब्यूटीफुल टीचिंग्स के बारे में, प्रभु जी इस वक्त आंसर करेंगे। आप सबको नववर्ष का हार्दिक अभिनंदन है, बहुत बहुत
कृष्णा।
शुभकामनाएं। तो प्रभु जी एक और क्वेश्चन था
Yes.
कि जब हम ये सारी चीज़ें करते हैं, शास्त्र पढ़ते हैं, भगवान का नाम का जप
Yes.
करते हैं,
Yes.
और डिवोटीज से एसोसिएट करते हैं,
Yes.
तो हमें ये कैसे पता चलता है कि भगवान हमारी सेवा से बहुत प्लीज हो रहे हैं? हम ये कैसे अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं?
when we are engaging, जब हम इस तरह से भगवान की सेवा में लीन हैं और यज्ञ नाम जपो अस्मिन, लॉर्ड कृष्ण कहते हैं कि ऑफ ऑल द यज्ञस मेरा नाम जपना, हम भगवान का स्मरण कर रहे हैं, हमें अपने आप शांति महसूस होती है, हमें अपने आप अध्यात्म का ज्ञान महसूस होता है, हमें डिवोटीज़ की संगत मिलती है, डिवोटी एसोसिएशन मिलती है, हमें भगवान की तरफ से आकर्षण मिलता है, एंड विच इनेबल्स, जो हम लोग कॉन्स्टेंटली एंगेज कर रहे होते हैं, हम लोग जीवन में जिस तरह की व्याधियाँ आती हैं, राइट, जिस तरह की एंग्जाइटी मिजरीज आती हैं, वी कैन स्टे स्ट्रॉन्ग, वी कैन स्टे स्टेबल, और एवरी मोमेंट वी आर रिजुविनेटिंग। एंड इंट्रोस्पेक्शन तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, ये हमेशा एक्चुअली फ्रिक्वेंटली करना चाहिए। इट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग दैट जो एवरी राइजिंग इन द मॉर्निंग वी शुड गिव 5 minutes टू अंडरस्टैंड आफ्टर आवर चैंटिंग दैट वॉट एवर आई इम्प्रूव, आज मेरा चैंटिंग जो था पहले से ज़्यादा अटेंटिव था कि नहीं, ये बिगनिंग में भी करना चाहिए, बाद में भी करना चाहिए, और ऐसे ही बहुत अच्छी तरह देखना चाहिए कि मैंने कल क्या किया, राइट। एवरी डे वी गेट अनलिमिटेड अमाउंट deposited in our account. In 24 hours, we have to finish it. And then in next 24 hours, we get that unlimited amount. This is the opportunity, this wealth is called the endeavor to perform bhakti. Bhakti में लीन होने के लिए हमें जो धन मिलता है, राइट, हमें जो शक्ति मिलती है, हमें एबिलिटीज़ मिलती हैं, ये अनलिमिटेड होती हैं, लेकिन हम लोग उसको अपने लिमिटेड व्यू पॉइंट से कैसे यूज़ कर सकते हैं, हमने कितना व्यर्थ में गवाया, राइट। जो हमारा मनुष्य जीवन है वो बुलबुले की तरह होता है, राइट, पानी में जो बुलबुला होता है। सो इट इज़, एंड आचार्य तो ये कहते हैं कि इट्स लाइक ड्रॉप ऑफ वाटर रोलिंग ऑफ अ लीफ, लोटस लीफ, लोटस लीफ के ऊपर वैक्स होता है ना, कैसे तेजी से एकदम से वैक्स से फिसल जाती है, ऐसा जीवन है। सो इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस टू प्यूरिफाई।
So, हरे कृष्णा। तो क्वेश्चन जो पूछा गया था कि किस तरह से पता चले कि हम भगवान हमसे प्लीज हो रहे हैं, अगर हम अपने हृदय में परम शांति महसूस करते हैं, और जो एक्टिविटीज़ करने में हमारा इंटरेस्ट बना रहता है, और ये जानते हुए कि हमारी लाइफ है जो बहुत शॉर्ट है, लेकिन हम परफेक्शन की तरफ काम कर रहे हैं और हमारे दिल में शांति और सुकून फील हो रहा है, तो उससे हम अंदाज़ा लगा सकते हैं कि हम स्पिरिचुअल पाथ पे प्रोग्रेस कर रहे हैं, भगवान प्लीज हो रहे हैं।
एंड एक और इम्पॉर्टेंट बात, हमारा दृष्टिकोण और हमारा व्यू पॉइंट चेंज होने लगता है, हम लोग अपने आप सोचने लगते हैं कि ये जो हमारे साथ में जो कुछ बैड इवेंट हुआ, राइट, कुछ गुड इवेंट हुआ, व्हाट इज़ द लेसन फॉर मी टू लर्न फ्रॉम इट, व्हाट एम आई लर्निंग, मैं इसमें भगवान की तरफ कैसे अनुकूल जा रहा हूँ, उनके डिज़ायर के हिसाब से जा रहा हूँ, हाउ एम आई प्लीजिंग कृष्णा, and what does Krishna want me to do in this state that would please him, that would make him happy. Hare Krishna.
So these were good points. Thank you Prabhuji. And इस तरीके से हम समझ सकते हैं. A few more friends have joined.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
दीपक राठौर जी ने और एक क्वेश्चन पूछा है, प्रभु जी आप गुरु जी के साइड में रख कर कैसे भक्ति कर सकते हैं? शायद ये भगवान की जो प्रभु हमारे गुरु महाराज की पिक्चर के बारे में
श्रीला भगवत पाद के बारे में पूछा है। यस, हरे कृष्णा। हम उनके इंस्ट्रक्शंस, दो तरह से गुरु को सर्व किया जा सकता है, आचार्य ने बताया, राइट। एक तो उनकी फिजिकल बीइंग को सर्व करना होता है, दूसरा उनके इंस्ट्रक्शंस को, राइट।
वापू और वाणी,
वापू एंड वाणी। वापू इज हिज वेरी स्पिरिचुअल मींस वेरी बीइंग, जब गुरु आते हैं तो आप उनकी सेवा करते हैं, उनको अच्छी तरह से उनका ख्याल रखते हैं, वो है वापू सेवा। देन वाणी सेवा होती है। वाणी सेवा इज फॉलोइंग द इंस्ट्रक्शंस ऑफ योर स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर। वाणी सेवा इज कंसिडर्ड इवन मच हायर देन वापू सेवा, राइट। Srila Prabhupada, he is glorified all around the not just this world but universe, is because he followed the instruction. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada के उनके इंस्ट्रक्शंस, Srila Prabhupada, दोनों का टाइटल प्रभुपाद है, उनको फॉलो कर रहे थे, राइट। तो वो जो इंस्ट्रक्शंस फॉलो कर रहे थे, इवन शिला प्रभुपाद के केस में बहुत सारे उनके गॉड ब्रदर्स ने बहुत ऑब्जेक्शंस उठाए। डाउटिंग माइंड हैज़ नो लिमिट, राइट। उन्होंने कहा कि हाउ कुड यू टेक द टाइटल ऑफ शिला प्रभुपाद विच वॉज द टाइटल ऑफ आवर स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर। सो डाउटिंग माइंड हैज़ नो लिमिट। एनीवे, सो वाणी सेवा बहुत ज़रूरी है। एंड द इंस्ट्रक्शन आई रिसीव फ्रॉम माई स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर इज to engage in devotional service, भगवान की भक्ति में लगना है, preaching करना है. So शिला भगवत पाद जो मेरे spiritual master हैं, उनके instructions क्या हैं? वो मेरे लिए simply instructions is to preach this knowledge, right? So that's why we also, me and my wife, we not just did Bhakti Shastri courses and are doing Bhakti Vaibhav course, we also Bhakti Shastri teachers for the last 5 years. And we are constantly preaching. So because this knowledge, it is also called violence if we don't share this knowledge. So non-violence का true definition Srila Prabhupada ने खुद दिया है, that one has to preach this knowledge to others so that everyone can become happy, everyone, this whole world can become Vaikuntha. And we have to seek our improvement, not try to judge others, but improve ourselves. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hopefully this
अपने
answers
गुरु
your question.
महाराज की जो पिक्चर है उसके थ्रू हम गुरु महाराज का प्रेजेंस और मर्सी फील करते हैं. एंड इट इज गुड आइडिया टू कीप देयर पिक्चर अराउंड टू बी एबल टू कैरी ऑन विद द प्रीचिंग वर्क. और इस तरह से हम सेवा करते हैं.
हरे कृष्णा.
वेंकटैया मेडीपल्ली, हरे कृष्णा. जियालाल, हरे कृष्णा. ओम गुज्जर, हरे कृष्णा. हिमांशु श्रीवास्तव, गीता शुक्ला, सुशीला बा चौहान,
हरे कृष्णा.
हरिबोल. चिराग गरवा, हेमनारायण, गिरजा शंकर, राजन गोयल, दिनेश भारती, कमेलिया दास, हरिबोल. हैप्पी न्यू ईयर आप सभी को. साक्षी महाजन, गौरव विश्वास, अमृता अग्रवाल, श्रुति जोशी, अमृतपल, राहु राज, हरे कृष्णा. सुखा रंजन, रिदा, अमित आचार्य,
हरे कृष्णा.
सुमन साहू, हरि बोल.
हरे कृष्णा.
फ्रेंड्स, अगर आपको कोई और क्वेश्चंस हो तो जरूर पूछिए. नेहा चंद्रा जी पूछ रही हैं और दीपक राठौर जी का एक और क्वेश्चन है जो कि हम अभी लेंगे. नेहा चंद्रा जी का क्वेश्चन है, why my emotions comes out in tears when I chant or listen bhajan?
Hare Bol. So these are, there are 8 symptoms that appear when you are engaged in devotional service. So if they are happening on their own, it is a great quality. Choking of throat is also another thing, right? People are not able to speak. Even Shukdev Goswami जब श्रीमद् भागवतम सुना रहे थे परीक्षित महाराज को, तो उस समय there were instances जब वो भगवान का बारे में सोचते हुए, स्पेशली 10th कैंटो में और 7th कैंटो में इतने भाव विभोर हो गए कि उनका चोक थ्रोट का. और जब विदुर जी से मिले उद्धव, तो उन्होंने देखा कि जब उन्होंने बताया कि भगवान अपने धाम वापस चले गए हैं, तो विदुर जी के शरीर में भी उन्होंने सारे मैनिफेस्टेशन देखे. क्राइंग is one of them. Stunning of hair, one of them, right? Shaking of body limbs. This is all ecstatic symptoms. So आप अपना शरीर जो कि भौतिक शरीर है उसको अध्यात्म के कांटेक्ट में, right? When you are in contact with fire, the iron in contact with fire, iron becomes red hot. It becomes like fire. Srila Prabhupada used to give this example. Anywhere touch this rod, it will set things on fire. So you are actually experiencing, and it is said कि जब आप भक्तों के संग में सुनते हैं, even neophytes, people who are new to Krishna consciousness, they can experience. There are 5 most potent forms. The processes are there that can make one experience prema, right? Love of Godhead. And what are these 5? Devotee association, chanting of the holy names. आप कह रही हैं भजन सुनती हैं, chanting करती है, तो this can make you experience love of Godhead, which is the goal of life. So you are very lucky from that perspective. Deity worship, अर्चना विग्रह का जो deity करते हैं ना, पूजा करते हैं उसको. And staying at a dham. We talked about devotee association already. And reading Srimad Bhagavatam, transcendental literature. So these 5 most potent forms of processes enable us, हम लोगों को भगवान का प्रेम जो कि हमारा गोल है इस लाइफ का, उससे साक्षात्कार करते हैं, हमें वो एक्सपीरियंस होता है, which is a great blessing. So you should stay with that mode, stay more prayerful, stay more in devotee association, and because of connecting to God with devotion is the essence of all. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा. तो नेहा जी, आई होप आपको आंसर मिला. कि आपके जो दिल में भगवान के लिए डिवोशन है
Yes.
और जिस तरीके से आप सिंसियर एफर्ट्स कर रही हैं
Yes.
उन सब का जो भाव है उसके कारण
Yes.
आपकी आंखों में आपकी आंखें नम हो जाती हैं श्रद्धा से।
Hare Krishna.
सो ये साइन है कि आप स्पिरिचुअल एडवांसमेंट के पाथ पे हैं।
Yes.
हरि बोल। सम मोर फ्रेंड्स आर जॉइनिंग। फ्रेंड्स,
हरे
इस वक्त
कृष्णा।
प्रभु जी कुछ क्वेश्चंस आंसर कर रहे हैं।
Hare
आपकी
Krishna.
कुछ भी स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चंस हों तो जरूर पूछ लीजिए। इस वक्त आज न्यू ईयर है, प्रभु जी
हरे
ने बहुत
कृष्णा।
ही ब्यूटीफुल क्लास दी इस वक्त। हाउ आवर अल्टीमेट गोल ऑफ लाइफ
हरे
शुड
कृष्णा।
बी टू सर्व कृष्णा, टू प्लीज कृष्णा।
Yes.
और जागृति दत्ता, हरे कृष्णा। नेहा चंद्रा, थैंक यू, हरे कृष्णा, हरि बोल। आई एम हैप्पी यू गॉट योर आंसर। आचार्य
कृष्णा।
अशोक जोशी, हरे कृष्णा।
हरे
श्रीनिवास
कृष्णा।
अंखिंडी,
हरे
हरे कृष्णा।
कृष्णा।
गोविंद सिंह,
हरे कृष्णा।
सागर गिल, संगीता
हरे कृष्णा।
बरुआ,
हरे कृष्णा।
मनीष हरीश,
हरे
पिंटू
कृष्णा।
कुमार, हरे कृष्णा। दीपक राठौर जी का जो क्वेश्चन था,
Yes,
फोर्थ
हरे
क्वेश्चन, वो है कि इस्कॉन में क्या सभी शिष्यों का दीक्षा गुरु प्रभुपाद जी हैं? इन्होंने जस्ट क्वेश्चन पूछा है, तो आप शायद इनको बता दीजिए।
Oh.
प्री एमिनेंट शिक्षा गुरु
Yes.
की इंफॉर्मेशन
So Srila Prabhupada is the preeminent instructing guru. So you have to understand, he is the instructing guru, preeminent. So in all of ISKCON, when a newcomer comes, even they are introduced that Hindi. अच्छा, वो भी ये समझते हैं कि जब कोई नया पर्सन भी आता है ISKCON में, टेम्पल में भी आता है, तो हमेशा सबसे पहले ही इज इंट्रोड्यूस टू शिला प्रभुपाद। एंड श्री प्रभुपाद जो हैं वो शिक्षा गुरु, प्री एमिनेंट इंस्ट्रक्टिंग स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर की तरह इंट्रोड्यूस किए जाते हैं, राइट। एंड फॉर दीक्षा गुरु टू बी, द पर्सन हैज़ टू बी प्रेजेंट, हैज़ टू बी लिविंग, सो then you can receive diksha, then you can serve him, then you can inquire from him. Hare Krishna. Hopefully this answers your question.
राठौर जी,
Hare Krishna.
इन्होंने अभी हिंदी में ही बताया, उनको बोल रहे हैं कृपा हिंदी में बताएं।
Yes, yes, yes.
तो हिंदी में ही यही बताया कि जो श्रीला प्रभुपाद जी हैं वो इस्कॉन के फाउंडर आचार्य हैं,
Founder
और
आचार्य हैं।
प्री एमिनेंट शिक्षा गुरु हैं, यानी
Yes.
पूरी टीचिंग्स, पूरी बुक्स
Yes.
उन्हीं
उनकी
से
है।
सबको शिक्षा
Yes.
मिल रही है। और फिर उन्होंने जो
Yes.
दीक्षा गुरु बनाए, और हमें दीक्षा लेने के लिए पर्सनली दीक्षा गुरु की जरूरत
Yes.
होती है, लेकिन हमारे शिक्षा गुरु
Yes.
बोथ लिविंग और नॉन लिविंग हो सकते हैं।
Yes.
तो आई होप आपको अपने आंसर्स मिले। हरे कृष्णा। माधुरी मोकर,
हरे
धीरज
कृष्णा।
कुमार, हरे कृष्णा। किशन लाल गुर्जर, पलाश साहा, राजेश
हरे
रवि
कृष्णा।
लाल, तुषार पाठक,
हरे
शतदल
कृष्णा।
चौधरी, हरे कृष्णा।
हरे
सो
कृष्णा।
प्रभु जी, एक और क्वेश्चन आता है डिवोटीज के
Yes.
ध्यान में। जो नए नए डिवोटीज आते हैं, वो
Yes.
जब शुरू में बहुत सारे फास्टिंग देखते
Yes.
हैं, फेस्टिवल्स देखते हैं,
Yes.
खूब सारा इतना वंडरफुल प्रसादम एंजॉय करते
Yes.
हैं और पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं सर्विसेज में, उनको एनकरेज किया जाता है। तो ऐसे में वो कभी कभी थोड़े से कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं कि कौन सी
Yes.
सर्विस उनके इंटरेस्ट के लायक है, क्योंकि
Yes.
इतनी नॉलेज शुरू में किसी को होती नहीं है कि भाई मैं किस मोड ऑफ नेचर में हूँ। तो ऐसे में वो कैसे डिटरमिन करें कि कौन सी सर्विस उनको सूट कर रही है और
Yes.
वो भगवान को कैसे प्लीज करें।
हरे कृष्णा। इसका तो इंस्ट्रक्शन श्रीमद् भागवतम में दिया है, धर्म सृष्टा पुनः पुंसाम विश्वक्षेना कथा सुया न उत्पाद्यते यदि रतिम श्रम एव हि केवलम। So whatever occupational duty a man performs, right, and the occupational duties that we perform are basically based on our different varnas, different modes of material nature and our influence and the various abilities that we have received, right? If it does not introduces, it does not induce, अगर हमें भगवान के लिए रति नहीं लाती है, भगवान के लिए प्रेम नहीं जगाती है, भगवान के लिए अट्रैक्शन नहीं जगाती है, भगवान के लिए अफेक्शन नहीं जगाती है, भगवान के निकट नहीं लाती है, केवल हमको डिस्टर्ब करती है, then it is श्रम एव हि केवलम. So such activities are just useless labor, right? धर्म सुनिश्चिता तः पुंसाम विश्वक्षेन कथासुयः न उत्पाद्यते यदि रतिम श्रम एव हि केवलम. अगर वो भगवान के हमें पास नहीं, हमें अट्रैक्ट नहीं करती है, तो वो यूजलेस लेबर है. तो हमें ये देखना चाहिए हम क्या कर सकते हैं, हमें क्या कैपेबिलिटीज़ हैं, राइट. समटाइम्स पीपल दे आर अमेजिंग कुक्स, सो दे शुड हेल्प, किचन में जाके वो आप बहुत सी बार कट वगैरह करते हैं, वेजिटेबल्स वगैरह, डिफरेंट सामग्री वगैरह को साथ में लाते हैं, लेकिन उनको फायर पे कुक नहीं करना चाहिए. कभी कभी उससे भी वो लोग ऑफेंड हो जाते हैं, बोलते हैं अरे हम फायर पे कुक क्यों नहीं करते, हम तो घर में रोज़ फायर पे कुक करते हैं. यस, घर में आपको अपने जो घर में डीटीज हैं, जो घर में इवन पिक्चर के फॉर्म में भी आप डीटीज रख सकते हैं. शास्त्रों में दिया हुआ है, यू नो, इन द फॉर्म ऑफ अ पेंट, इन द फॉर्म ऑफ वर्ड, यू नो, द डीटीज कैन बी इन एनी ऑफ दोज फॉर्म्स. एंड आप इस तरह से जब टेम्पल में जाते हैं, वहाँ पे ब्राह्मण ही कुक करते हैं भगवान के लिए फायर पे, बिकॉज दैट इज इन द शास्त्रास, दे आर फॉलोइंग द शास्त्रास. एंड आज जो हम चैप्टर 7 में बोला डिविजन ऑफ फेथ, उसमें इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ शास्त्रास देखा, दैट वी हैव टू फॉलो द स्क्रिप्चर्स एंड टू प्लीज लॉर्ड श्री कृष्णा. सो वी शुड, you know, if you are a great cook, then you should cook at home for the Lordship. If you are a great painter, you should paint Lord's pictures. If you are a great musician, you should sing Lord's glories. Whatever capability you have, you should engage in Lord's service. हरे कृष्णा.
हरे कृष्णा. तो आपने अभी ब्रीफ में, मतलब मैं ये समराइज कर दूं जो अभी ज्वाइन हो रहे हैं. क्वेश्चन ये था कि भगवान की हम सेवा कैसे कर सकते हैं अगर हम डिफरेंट एरियाज देखें कि यू नो चैंटिंग भी हो रही है, डीटी वर्शिप भी हो रही है और शास्त्रों का ज्ञान भी चल रहा है. तो हमें ये कैसे पता चले कि हम किचन में सेवा करें कि, तो ऐसे में प्रभु जी ने बोला सभी की अपनी अपनी टैलेंट होती है. भगवान से सभी को गिफ्ट्स मिले हुए हैं और उन टैलेंट्स को भगवान की सेवा में डेफिनेटली यूज किया जा सकता है.
And you should be open, right? Simplicity is another thing. Just approach the authorities, temple president या devotee जो senior हैं, उनको बताएं कि मुझ में ये ability है, can it be used, right?
So प्रभु जी, हमारे पास 2-3 क्वेश्चंस और आए हुए हैं. मीरा भूषण, हरे कृष्णा. विशाल रंगालाल, सागर राम, पौरिमा मोतीलाल, सैंडी शाह, हरे कृष्णा. धर्मेंद्र दत्ता, प्रसादाचारी, हैप्पी न्यू ईयर आप सभी को. विजय यादव, संजय डबगर, अनिल सिंह यादव, अखिल सिंह नेगी, पूजा सरकार, राहुल राज, हरे कृष्णा. इन्होंने क्वेश्चन पूछा है, सर व्हेन आई फेस लॉट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम, ही इज फेसिंग लॉट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम एज लाइक स्ट्रगलिंग टाइम टू, तो आपने आपको अंदर को कैसे स्ट्रॉन्ग करें. तो इनका क्वेश्चन है कि स्ट्रगलिंग टाइम्स में जब बहुत प्रॉब्लम्स हम एक्सपीरियंस कर रहे हैं, तो हम अपने आप को कैसे स्ट्रॉन्ग महसूस करें, कैसे स्ट्रॉन्ग बने, सो दैट वी कैन डील विद सिचुएशंस इन लाइफ.
Yes. So yes, sometimes roadblocks come in life, right? Sometimes we say कि लाइफ के सामने stumbling stone है, but think of them. इनको आप roadblock नहीं, अपना दृष्टिकोण बदलेंगे तो आपको पता लगेगा ये stepping stones हैं, right? Sometimes we are just against pushing ourselves. We should take a step back and look at the situation and say, what is it that I can learn from this situation? If I have a given ability, and Lord Krishna हमें कोई ऐसी डिफ़िकल्टी में डालते ही नहीं है जिससे हम जूझ ना सकें, राइट? ही ओनली गिव्स अस डिफ़िकल्टीज दैट वी कैन फेस सक्सेसफुली. हाउएवर वी शुड ऑल्सो अंडरस्टैंड कि हम उसको फेस तभी कर सकते हैं जब भगवान की हम पे कृपा होती है. वी टॉक्ड अबाउट दिस, राइट? दैट लॉर्ड जो है हमारे हृदय में परमात्मा की तरह बैठे हुए हैं, वो हमें मार्गदर्शी हैं, ही इज़ ओवरसियर एंड परमिटर. तो हमें मोर स्ट्रांगली, इंस्टेड ऑफ गेटिंग बिविल्डर्ड, असमंजस में नहीं आना चाहिए, डिस्टर्ब नहीं होना चाहिए, और हमें अपने जो 6 प्रिंसिपल्स हैं अपनी भक्ति को बढ़ाने के लिए, उनको और भी स्ट्रांगली करना चाहिए. कौन से हैं वो प्रिंसिपल्स? उत्साह, निश्चयात, धैर्यात, तत्त कर्म प्रवर्तनात्, संग त्यागा, सतो वृद्धे, सद्भिर भक्ति प्रसिद्धति. So उत्साहान, with great enthusiasm we should more engage, because anytime हमारी लाइफ में जब भी डिफिकल्टी आती है, we take more shelter of Lord Shri Krishna. and जब अच्छा रहता है तब भी हमें लेना चाहिए. दुख में सुमिरन सब करे, सुख में करे ना कोई, जो सुख में सुमिरन करे, दुख काहे को होए. राइट? तो दुख में तो जब पीपल आर फेसिंग टफ टाइम, देन दे ऑलवेज टेक शेल्टर. लेकिन जब सुख होना, तब अगर हम कॉन्स्टेंटली शेल्टर लेंगे तो हमें ये समझ में आएगा कि दिस वर्ल्ड इज प्लेस ऑफ मिजरी. दुःखालयम शाश्वतम. बट दिस मिजरीज are caused, the happiness and distress is caused by living entities. We are the cause, right? So हमें कुछ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी अपने आप भी लेनी पड़ती है कि हमें एबिलिटी दी हुई है भगवान ने, लेकिन मे बी हम उसका यूज़ नहीं कर रहे हैं. हमारे सामने अपॉर्चुनिटी है लेकिन हम उसको समझ नहीं रहे हैं. हमारे को जो स्टेपिंग अगेन जो रोड ब्लॉक आ रहे हैं वो एक्चुअली स्टेपिंग स्टोन्स हैं. सो वी हैव टू राइज अबव आवर लेवल. We have to lift ourselves, which requires extra endeavor. हमें अपनी तरफ से endeavor करना चाहिए. Saint Augustine, even though he was an impersonalist, he had one saying. वो क्या थी saying उनकी? कि जब भगवान के लिए पूजा करो, जब भगवान को प्रे करो, जब भगवान के लिए प्रार्थना करो, तो ऐसे करो जैसे सब भगवान पे निर्भर करता है। लेकिन जब कार्य करो, जब कोई भी काम करो, तो ऐसे करो कि सब हम पे निर्भर करता है, भगवान की शरण में रहते हुए। अगेन फ्रॉम दैट पर्सपेक्टिव वी हैव टू टेक इट, राइट? वर्क एज इफ everything depends on us, but pray as if everything depends on the God. So that should be the mood. We should constantly भगवान की मर्सी के लिए अनुस्मरण युद्ध च, भगवान अर्जुन से क्या कहते हैं? Thinking of me, fight, get up and fight. So he is giving us the instruction कि हम लोगों को भी यही उनसे मिल रहा है शिक्षा कि हमें भगवान का स्मरण करते हुए, भगवान के लिए ऑफरिंग करते हुए अपना कार्य करना चाहिए। और जब हमारे में ज़्यादा क्षमता है, बहुत सी बार हम अनदेखा कर देते हैं। हरे कृष्णा, हमें इसलिए उत्साह, ग्रेट एंथुसियाज्म करना चाहिए, निश्चयात, विद ग्रेट डिटर्मिनेशन, धैर्यात। वी शुड बी पेशेंट। What is the lesson? We should introspect. We should retrospect, looking at the past, but we should also see in introspect. हमारे आत्मा को हमें ठिठोलना चाहिए, देखना चाहिए। तत्त कर्म प्रवर्तना, the 9 process of devotional service, श्रवणम, कीर्तनम, विष्णु स्मरणम, पाद सेवनम, अर्चनम, वंदनम, दास्यम, साख्यम, आत्म निवेदनम, राइट? ये जो 9 processes बताएं। Then reading, writing also there. Srila Rupa Goswami describes 64 processes. Of them, the 5 potent ones, most potent ones, we also already discussed. And Sangha Tyagat, we should give up the association of materialists, जो सांसारिक लोग हैं, जो व्यर्थ की बातें करते हैं, व्यर्थ के भौतिक बातें करते हैं, they are looking after name, fame and glory, women and money, that's their focus. उनका संग त्यागना चाहिए। और सत्यवृत्ति and devotee association, most important is devotee association. We should inquire from devotee, we should submissively seek guidance and advice. And prasadam is very purifying. It actually purifies our consciousness. तो जो भी हम आज कुछ भी कुक करें, तो ऐसा कुक करें जो भगवान कृष्ण को पसंद हो, और उनको ऑफर करें, उनको भोगा चढ़ाएं, फिर उसको रेमनेंस प्रसाद समझ के, भगवान की मैसेज समझ के खाएं। हमारा पूरा जीवन रिजुविनेट हो जाएगा, हमारा पूरा दृष्टिकोण न्यू हो जाएगा, हमारा पूरा लाइफ ट्रांसफॉर्म हो जाएगा। हरे कृष्णा।
सो हरे कृष्णा, प्रभु जी ने बताया किस तरीके से हम अपने आप को स्ट्रॉन्ग कर सकते हैं। ये 6 प्रिंसिपल्स जो स्पिरिचुअल एडवांसमेंट के हैं, इनको फॉलो करने से, भक्ति को फॉलो करने से, हमारे हार्ट से अनर्थास दूर हो जाते हैं, वीकनेसेस दूर हो जाती हैं, और हम स्ट्रॉन्ग हो जाते हैं। और हमें प्रेयर भी जरूर करनी चाहिए। प्रसाद आचार्य, हरे कृष्णा। धर्मेंद्र दत्ता, सैंडी शाह, सागर राम, जैसलमेर, पूर्णिमा, विशाल रंगलाल, मीरा भूषण, मनोज वर्मा, अंशुमान शुक्ला, हरे कृष्णा। हैप्पी न्यू ईयर सभी को। हरे कृष्णा। अभिनव सिंह, एलन रेड्डी, दुलाल घोष, सुमन साहू। फ्रेंड्स, प्रभु जी इस वक्त क्वेश्चंस आंसर कर रहे हैं। कुछ भी आपको भगवान की टीचिंग से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चंस हो, अपनी स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ को कैसे और इम्प्रूव करना है, उससे रिलेटेड क्वेश्चंस हो, तो जरूर पूछिए। नरसिम्हा बालिगा, हरे कृष्णा। अप्रतिम दंडापत, दिनेश यादव, बिंदिया राव निकम, रबिन रॉय, राम शंकर प्रसाद, भवन शुक्ला, अशोक शर्मा, सुनील कुमार, प्रथम शर्मा, निर्मल सिन्हा, शर्वानी सरकार, राजेश महेश, सुरेश सनी, हरे कृष्णा। कृष्णा चक्रवर्ती, पालक अग्रवाल, दिनेश सैनी, टीना धावल, हरे कृष्णा। फ्रेंड्स, नववर्ष की हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं। राम आशीष कुमार, संजय सिंह, सुदीप श्रीवास्तव, रबिन रॉय, चौहान नरेंद्र, हृतिक, मणिक और प्रदीप, हरे कृष्णा। मणिक रॉय। फ्रेंड्स, आपके जो भी क्वेश्चंस थे अब तक, प्रभु जी ने सब क्वेश्चंस आंसर्स करने की कोशिश की। और इस क्लास से, जो आज क्लास हुई है, हमें ये जानकारी मिली, हमें और इन्फॉर्मेशन मिली किस तरीके से हम अपनी स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ इम्प्रूव कर सकते हैं, टू कम क्लोजर टू कृष्णा, टू प्लीज कृष्णा। क्योंकि जब हम न्यू ईयर गोल्स बनाते हैं, न्यू ईयर रेजोल्यूशंस बनाते हैं, तो वी शुड नो, ऐसा गोल बनाएं जिससे ये लाइफ परफेक्ट हो जाए, इजंट इट? अमित कुमार धारा, धैवत बंगाली, हरे कृष्णा। आई थिंक एक क्वेश्चन मिस हो गया। आई एम गोइंग टू गो थ्रू दैट, बट फेसबुक में काफ़ी स्क्रॉल हो चुका है, तो
फिर से पूछ सकते हैं अगर आपको कोई क्वेश्चन आंसर नहीं हुआ है तो।
हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा।
आई थिंक दीपक राठौर प्रभु जी को बहुत कंसर्न्स है रिगार्डिंग इस्कॉन में दीक्षा गुरु और शिक्षा गुरु को लेके जो पॉलिसीज हैं, तो आई थिंक दैट इज समथिंग उनको डिटेल में किसी डिवोटी के साथ इन पर्सन मिलके डिस्कस करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि सब कुछ यहाँ पे ऑनलाइन फोरम में डिस्कस नहीं किया जा सकता और हम कोई भी इंफॉर्मेशन मिस रिप्रेजेंट नहीं कर सकते। हम बहुत बहुत अप्रिशिएट करते हैं आप ये समझने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, पर लुकिंग एट ऑल योर क्वेश्चंस, आपके 4 क्वेश्चंस आंसर हो चुके हैं इस वक्त, और ऐसा मुझे फील हो रहा है कि आप जरूर किसी डिवोटी से पर्सनली मिलके ये सारे जो आपके कंसर्न्स हैं इनको रिजॉल्व करिए। निर्मल सिन्हा,
you can also send an email to GBC, right? ISKCON GBC directly. Hare Krishna.
नवीन, हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna.
हरि बोल फ्रेंड्स। So at this time, let us wrap up this session, and we will cover chapter 18 next time.
Yes. A very very happy Krishna conscious New Year to all of you. Hare Krishna. आपका नव वर्ष जो है मंगलमय हो, कृष्ण भावामृत से भाव विभोर हो और आपको कृष्ण प्रेम भक्ति मिले, ऐसी हमारी शुभकामनाएं हैं, ऐसे हमारी विश है आप सबके लिए। हरे कृष्णा एवरीवन। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, शिला भगवत पाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, निताय गो प्रेमानंदे। हरि हरि बोल। हरे कृष्णा।